Imagine being on a vacation for a very long time. Now imagine saving money nightly while you do it. Sounds pretty great, right? With Vrbo's long stay discounts, you can stay longer and save more. Our customers save an average of 10% when they book select properties for a week or longer. Just in case you needed another reason to extend that vacation. Book the perfect summer getaway today with Vrbo Private Vacation Rentals. Your future self will thank you later.
Aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent. Hey, what's happening, Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. Let me tell you this. I'm going to start off telling you this right away so we can get this out in the open, get it out on the table for all of us. I've never been to Puerto Rico. So I can't speak to the garbage situation over there in any way, shape, or form. Certainly not intelligently. But I will tell you this, and I think we can all agree, that if you're going to make fun of Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, the best place to do it is right in the heart of New York City. You can't foresee any problems doing that, right? I mean, it's not like, Seinfeld had an episode where, Jerry Seinfeld, literally the non-dairy creamer of comedians, had an episode where they did a Puerto Rican flag bit and everybody freaked the fuck out. And this is 25 years ago or whatever the fuck. Clearly you would know that New York was not hypersensitive to this at all. There's no Puerto Rican people there who would have any sort of pride or a parade that would indicate that pride and would be angry at you for saying something so fucking dumb. And I don't even know it's dumb. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this. New York is the second best place to make fun of Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans. The next best place, San Juan. That's number one. That's top of the heap. That's on the list. You know what? Why not just fly on a plane and go and get off on San Juan's airport and spit in some toddlers' faces? Because you're just not doing enough to make these people angry at you. You fucking hump. Look, man. I'm ostensibly a comedian, sort of tangential. I used to be. That was certainly what I wanted to do. Who knows if it worked? But I will tell you this. I got, as I've told you, funny excuses, everything. But if you're just going to go up on stage and make watermelon carving jokes about black people, what the fuck are you doing, man? And I've heard every explanation today where everyone's like, hey, it was a roast. Haha. It wasn't a roast. It's a fucking presidential look, I don't even know what it was. It's a rally. It was a grouping. It was certainly a coming together. You know what I'm not going to call it? A meeting of the minds. If you saw any of it, I'm not calling it a meeting of the minds. I allude to the watermelon thing. The Puerto Rican thing is a rough one. You know what I mean? And he did it and he committed to it and whatever. But then later on, he does we carved watermelons instead of pumpkins on Halloween bit. And that somehow has slipped under the radar. I think people are so used to them making fun of black people at this point that they went ahead and said, okay, you know what? We're going to let the watermelon thing slide because you guys, you've had this arrow in the quiver for a long fucking time. But the Puerto Ricans, why, that's a whole new group to insult. How did you fucking drag them into this? I don't know, man. I don't understand it. Now, a lot of you, by the way, I should tell you this, not a lot of you, because there's not a lot of you still around. I can guarantee that there are people bugged the fuck out, and I don't blame you. And I didn't know how to approach this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, because I don't know. I will tell you this. There was a listener, a lovely listener named Alan, who, when I did the last show, which was, I don't know if you recall this, it was before, it was right when baseball season started. Holy fuck, man. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. You want to know why I took so long to do a podcast? I am terrified of cicadas. And I knew, because this is year 14, and they come, and I heard they were coming, and this is the first time during the run of the show, and I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I've spent 6 months in a hyperbaric chamber, just hiding from the possibility of hearing cicadas chirping in my ear, because, oh my God, they terrify me. You know I don't like bugs. I don't like spiders and snakes, and that ain't what it takes to love me, you fool. Jim Stafford. By the way, Jim Stafford, grabby. Did you know this? That's a thing you didn't know. Well, you might have known it, or I might have even mentioned it before. What if I did? What if I talked about Jim Stafford on a whole episode and I forgot about it because I haven't done a show in 6.5 fucking months? What the fuck? Jim Stafford is he's a singer of some note, and he was a guy active in the 70s, and he had a hit song. This was when novelty songs could still be considered hits. They weren't just one-offs or something that went viral for 30 seconds, and everybody went, ee, that's great, let's move on to the next soul to ruin. But this dude had a song called Spiders and Snakes. And I actually had the 45, believe it or not. And I know a lot of you now think that's a gun, because now it is, because they don't sell them anymore. This is back when they sold records. Remember records? And I don't mean the ones that are on your permanent record, like high school. I mean, these were like little flat black discs that you had to put on a turntable. You know what a turntable is? What if I did? I had explained this fucking thing all the way down the line. It's like a lazy Susan. You know what a lazy Susan is? Jesus fucking Christ. You know what Susan is? You know what lazy is? I'll tell you now you're talking. Now you're talking about a guy who didn't do a podcast for 6.5 months. But I would contest it. If you brought up the word lazy, I would wrestle you to the ground, and I would drink chocolate milk and dribble spit just above your face and then suck it back into my mouth. Not unlike what my brother Lenny did to me, and not unlike what Jim Morrison's older brother did to him. Maybe is that in the older brother handbook? I don't know, because I'm an older brother. But because I think, here's what I'll say. I'm an older brother, but because I had an older brother, I don't consider myself the older brother. I mean, I'm, certainly Glenn, Andy, and Scott are my younger brothers, but I couldn't torture them or torment them in any way like Lenny, held sway in our house. But again, as I've mentioned, that was a thing that I used to be bothered by and I used to be upset about. But now that I look at the situation, considering the fact that Lenny was essentially forced to be my dad from the time he was fucking, 8, that's I can't get mad at him. Because when you're 8 years old, it's not, you can't exactly ground your 6-year-old brother, because your 6-year-old brother's gonna be like, what the fuck, you're 8. And no, and so you know what you do? You violently slap them around. That's what you do, because it's the only way to teach them to stay in line or whatever the fuck. And I don't blame him, because again, you're 8. You shouldn't be fucking parenting anybody, let alone your own parents. But sure enough, he was an 8-year-old gentleman, and he was trying to keep me in line. And there would be a lot of pushing and shoving and punching and hitting and things like that. And as I've mentioned before, to wake me up in the morning, my brother would punch me in the calves. That's not even, I know, and that sounds like a euphemism of some kind. It is not. He would literally, and sometimes with that extended knuckle, when you put that middle knuckle out there, like whack, because I got punched by a science teacher like that one time in the head when I said he wasn't gay. So, right? Get that. I said he wasn't gay. Well, I didn't really say he wasn't gay. One of the other people in class, like I'm telling you stories you already know, but this is how this show used to work. You just limber up. That's what we're doing. This is this is like down and backs. This is like gassers, you know what I mean, in practice when you try to get ready. This isn't, you can't shoot. Shooting's the fun part. This is the part where you got to get limber. So let's do the gassers. Let's do the hi-yahs. Let's do the down and backs. Let's do the burpees, if you will. Let's do leg day. This is leg day, pretty much, but it's with my throat, because my fucking vocal cords are thick as goddamn thighs. And now we're back to leg day, and we're talking about calves, because let's go back to school real quick. Mr. Scully was my teacher in 6th grade, and I was sitting at a table with Rich Knudsen. To this day, I don't know if I was just saying the K because I was dumb as a child, or if he was Rich Knudsen. He may have been Rich Knudsen. I shouldn't be saying his name, probably, because you're going to look him up and he's 60 and he's going to stab me for bringing his name up. Fucking who cares? But it was Rich Knudsen, and I'll just say these people, and Sam Rodriguez. Because look, good luck finding Sam Rodriguez, right? Right now he's probably very angry at something that was said in the garden. Are they still insulting people over there? I'm not sure if they are. I don't know how long that's running. How long is this long-running rally where they're just insulting nationalities? Is that happening still? I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. Book the garden out for a week. I'll tell you what, you would have a whole week of people just lobbing insults. You still wouldn't cover everybody on Earth. By the time you get to Turks and Caicos or Togo or something, like, you wouldn't fucking have any insults left at that point. It'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's Days of the Week. That's a great song, by the way, the Stone Temple Pilots. Go ahead and look that up. Monday, back from the dead. I think that's the line. I don't know. What was I talking about? Sam Rodriguez. That's what I'm saying. He sounds like, you know what? He sounds like the guy. There were no Mexicans in Willy Wonka, but Sam Rodriguez sounds like wasn't it Sudden Sam, the TV man, or whatever? He had his kid who wound up going. Was he Violet's? No, Violet's dad was English. No, Violet's dad was Sudden Sam. No, that's right. It was. I apologize. I don't know the names of the other parents. I know Mrs. Kravitz was there, right? Gladys Kravitz, I believe she was. But Sam Rodriguez is not from Willy Wonka. He is from my 6th grade class, which was a little like Willy Wonka because I was fat and ate chocolate and got stuck in a tube. So me and Sam and Rich Knudsen, and then I'm not going to say this person's name because you would probably be able to find this person, even unless they've married and because their last name is a unique last name. And as we know, it can't be very unique because unique itself is inherently very. So it would be my friend Antonia. That was her name. There was Antonia and Sam and Rich and me. And I would say this, you know what? Good for me. I think Antonia might have been Dominican or possibly, you know what? Get this. Might have been Puerto Rican. I'm not sure. Might have been from Puerto Vallarta. But let's make fun of them too now. Let's go ahead. Let's take down all the Puertos, right? Puerto Rico, Porto. Let's fucking kill them all. Let's kill Puerto Rico, Puerto Vallarta. I'm sure we got plenty of insults for those people. Let's make fun of Porto's, the bakery here in California, which is a delight. Oh my God. Look, if you ever come out here, and I advise that you do, come here before the world collapses because the weather's nice and we have some decent restaurants. And there's an ocean you can look at. But Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, Porto's the bakery, Porto's. And it's not spelled like Puerto. It's Porto''S. And god damn do they serve some good food. They got a Cuban sandwich you can get for lunch with some plantain chips, which is a delight. But they specialize in pastries. And I don't think it's Cuban, but it's of island origin. That's what I'm going to say. I don't know if it's a Mexican bakery, Dominican. I'm not sure. Not that Mexico's an island, but their deal is they make pastries and they use a lot of guava. Where's that from? I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to, because I'm going to get, again, you can barely tiptoe to the line before somebody fucking smashes you. And I don't blame them, quite frankly. Again, they use a lot of guava, so whatever the fuck island that is, it's not Cuba, right? It couldn't be, but they might be. Maybe it's a Cuban joint because they sell Cuban sandwiches. Oh, I think fucking Denny's sell Cuban sandwiches at that point. Man, that's insulting too. When you go to Denny's, they're like, "Hey, man, we've got denchiladas." Fuck off, man. Nobody, I mean, I know everybody who works in the kitchen is Mexican. I'm gonna doubt the authenticity of your denchiladas. I'm not kidding. I can't lie to you folks. I can't lie to the Denny's folks either. Remember when Denny's was racist? Remember that? And I just know that Denny's is closing a lot of locations, right? This was a story this week in the paper. I get the paper. Hi, I'm a grandfather. I get my paper boy comes over. I give him a nickel. Bite it first. There was a story in the news this week. Clearly, the news is in the air. You got to just grab it. It's floating all over the place, bits and bytes. And there was a story that Denny's is having issues. They're having some problems, the folks over at Denny's, and they're closing a lot of locations, and certainly in Southern California. So, because I looked, because there's a Denny's by me, so I'm always curious if that's the one that's going under, because that's the Denny's, you may recall, that I went with my wife, and we had a fight, and I walked home from the Denny's in spite. And you know I'm mad, because that was fat meat before surgery. So that's how mad I was, and by mad, I mean that's how much of a dick I was to my wife, that I walked out to prove a point and left her there, because I am the best. So I looked to see if the Denny's by me is closing, but they don't have a list of the Denny's just yet. But I thought of this. They're like, yeah, man, Denny's, the profits are rough and we're closing because there's a lot of, inactivity and we can't have these locations that aren't making a lot of money. And I think to myself, remember when you guys were racist and you didn't close one fucking restaurant? What the fuck, man? They might have fined people, or they went ahead and got different owners at the franchises. I don't know, but I know hardcore racism and refusing to sit black parties and feed them a decent meal. Not that Denny's is churning out a decent meal. Although, look, let's not kid ourselves. It's not fucking Applebee's. That place is a goddamn mess. The food at Applebee's might as well come in a fucking trough. I cannot stand it. When I was on the road, I would work with comics, and that was their idea of a good time. Like after the show, they would be like, "Hey, let's go over to Applebee's," and I'd be like, where are you from, man? Are you drunk?" And of course the question is no, but they want to go get drunk over to fucking Applebee's, and I don't drink, so I would go to places with comics, but I would always try to steer them in a place where I would get decent bar food because I didn't drink. And Applebee's, not on that list. Applebee's, like I said, they have a riblet. I don't know what the fuck a riblet is. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know what the fuck a riblet is. I don't know where that's come from. You bite it because again, it's this. Here's what's dangerous about a riblet. They're like, hey man, here's a riblet, and you're like, is this ribs? And they're like, don't look into it. Just bite it. It's got sauce on it, and then you put it in your mouth. Riblet is the size of a toe. And it's got like I know toes have bones, whatever the fuck, but these riblets have that cartilage. So I know what it is. And look, so we're having fun for the sake of humor, but at the same time, I know they probably took a rib and they whacked it up with a cleaver. Not a cleaver. They're not going to invest in a cleaver. Perhaps they have a bone saw back there. Yes, because you know why? The Saudi Arabian government bought Applebee's, and so they're using their bone saws to make riblets. Next time you go to Applebee's, there's a good chance you're eating an investigative reporter. So sure enough, they wind up whacking all of the ribs into riblets, and then and I think that is just so they can make more, like they can serve you 3 ribs or 2 ribs, but charge you, $15 for what would normally be half a rack of ribs. Although I guess that, yeah, the good barbecue places by me, it's like $18 to $20 for half a rack of ribs, and then $34 to $35. There's a lot of space there. $34 to $35. I'm not, you know what? Doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for your full rack of ribs. 34. You know what? We're going to charge $34 to $35 for this large rack of ribs. Well, you talked me into it. Although what if I gave you $33.99? Can't do it. I think we just told you the parameters, sir. All right. So maybe, what are you telling me? What if you quoted me 3501? No, sir, we would never do that. That would be gouging. Between $34 and $35. That's what we're charging for our large rack of ribs. So don't eat a riblet is my point. Don't go to Applebee's ever, and don't put a riblet in your mouth because, again, there's a good chance you're eating, as I've mentioned, either an investigative reporter or possibly a toe, because you put it in your mouth and it's just gristly. Don't put any gristly nonsense in your mouth unless you're John Candy trying to win a steak contest. Sure enough, I'm at the classroom. I'm there with Sam and Rich and Antonia. And again, so the point I was making was that Antonia, perhaps Dominican, I don't know where she was from. And then there was Sam, who was clearly a gentleman of Mexican origin. And then, of course, there's Rich Knudsen, who might have been Polish. I don't know. Where's Knudsen from? Knudsen, K-N. Hey, you know what? He might have been a Viking. Is that a race? I don't know if it is. Hold on. I don't want to get in any trouble here. That's on Wednesday at the rally at the Garden. We'll take on the fjords over there in Finland and the Vikings and every other fucking person with a beard and horns. Rich may have been from like nice Swedish descent. I don't know. He didn't talk like the chef on the Muppets or anything like that, but he, what the fuck. And he was a little darker complected too. Maybe, Sam might have been incognito. Might have been changing it up so he didn't get busted in Romeoville when I was a kid. But we're in class. And look, all right, let me stop this. Yes, I'm telling a story you've heard. I apologize. We're relearning everything. We're just shaking it off. We're shaking off the rust somehow. And this is the thing. It's just you open up the microphone and you start talking. You see what the fuck happens. All right. What if? And I'm going to say this too. If one of you motherfuckers out there writes me and goes, "Hey man, we heard that story. I'm going to come to your house and I will firebomb it." I'm not joking. And I don't know how to firebomb anything, but on the way to your house, somehow I will acquire the knowledge or some handwritten instructions, which, by the way, I will use as the wick in the Molotov cocktail, so they are burned up not to implicate anyone. I don't want to have anyone being considered as some sort of co-conspirator in the firebombing of your house. I will just firebomb your house myself. Anybody who wants to give me handwritten instructions on how to do such a thing, I promise you, I will roll it up and use it as the wick in the Molotov cocktail that I lob at the house of the person who is so fucking rude and wrote me to tell me they'd heard this goddamn story before. Look, I've had enough of you fuckers. I'm just going to say this. There are people who are fucking mad at me, and I get it. And it's not cool. And I did a podcast for a long time, and I'm not getting any explanations. Because again, my good friend Alan was like, "You should just do fucking shows." And I was like, "That's a great idea." And then I pulled the coats over my head for 5 months. That's exactly what happened. Last time I talked to you guys, I had COVID, which was fucked. And you know what's funny? I haven't used the microphone since. COVID's like aerial, right? I mean, it doesn't sit on a countertop, but is there a chance it's in my like foamy fucking microphone thing here? Oh, I just flicked it with my finger and it changed the. What if I change the trajectory of fucking recording on my goddamn microphone? Literally the first time in 6 months I sit down to talk, and by flicking it like a fucking bean, I just go, "Hey, guess what?" And I ruin everything. But that's what I always do. Wah, wah. Hey, so I'm in class, right? I'm in Romeoville. But please don't fucking, if you write me and go, we heard this fucking story. I'm not kidding. I will come to your fucking house and firebomb it. I don't even give a fuck. Molotov cocktail, it might just be a mason jar full of gas. Like, I'm not even going to be fucking fancy about it. I don't even need any instructions from anybody to firebomb your house. I'm not going to go all crazy and, like, line your yard with fucking some sort of paste or something that's flammable, or trick you, or possibly get into your car and cut your brakes and then set up the battery to set a fire. I'm not doing any of that. I will just come to your house and I will throw a jar of gasoline at your house. And just, you know what? For my own safety, get this. Because a Molotov cocktail is like a bottle filled with some sort of kerosene or some sort of flammable liquid, right? Or printer's ink. Can you do that? Does that burn? I don't know if it does. And then you put, you get a wick and you dab it in there so it's got a little nice kerosene soak on it, and then you light it. So you're holding a bomb, clearly. It's because it's got fire on the top and it's got kerosene on the bottom, surrounded by glass. This does not sound safe at all. You know what? I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to say that sounds dangerous. So if I'm holding a Molotov cocktail, it's lit up on the top, it's kerosene on the bottom, it's a glass container, and who knows if I throw it, because look, I got no arm. I wish I did. I think I told you guys this story. When I was dating my ex, I was in fucking Milwaukee at a Brewers game, and they had the fucking pitching thing, the throw a fastball and impress your girl, one of those fucking things from, I don't know if it was that one from 1950. I don't know if Bob Uecker was there taunting me. I don't know what happened there. There was a guy with a straw hat and a mustache. Say, Muscles, you want to make your girl swoon? He tosses me a baseball. You don't have to knock over the milk bottles, but let's see how fast you can hurl this pill. The horse hide. So I was with my ex, and we were at the Brewers game, and there's a line, of course, and it's like little kids, and everybody, yay, there's a speed gun, and I'm not joking. In my brain, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do good at this. I'm gonna really do good at this. What I thought was I was gonna throw it like 70. You know what I mean? Like in my brain, I was like, nah, you know what? If I hit 70, I'll be happy. Like that would be, to me, 70 would be a tremendous success. I'm figuring I'm not gonna get out of the 60s, but if I can do 65, fine. But 70, because again, I haven't thrown a pitch in anger in fucking forever at that time. And I hadn't thrown a pitch, period. Not just in anger. I wasn't raging or anything. Who am I, Al Raboski? I'm going to throw a fucking pitch in anger? Hi, I'm Rob Dibble. It's nice to see you. Let me buzz the tower on you with 99 gas. So instead, I was like, I waited in line dutifully, and I'm not joking. Inside, I was just like, watch this now. Oh, these fucking kids are going to go, ooh, look at this guy from Los Angeles who came out here and threw the fucking fastball. And I'm not joking. This is completely true, too. I actually considered throwing because I can throw a curveball. I learned it as a freshman in high school. I learned how to like grip it on the seams, and you snap your wrist. And when I think I've told you that, look, I've told the story about tennis when I was a child in high school. And I had to be partnered up with Rick Scuderi, but I was the only guy in our class, and when we did tennis for like 4 weeks, who developed the toss, the fucking overhand serve. Everybody else is bouncing it and just flipping it over, and I'm hitting fucking bullets over the goddamn net like a genius. Now look, it's all over the goddamn place. Clearly, I'm not nailing every single one, but I actually turned out to be not bad at it. You know what I mean? Like when I would get them in, it was just this thing. Like I felt like a goddamn king, a tennis king, baby. Look at me, spaghetti racket, fucking fooling everybody. Green fuzzies in my hand. So I thought I had hidden athletic talent, like the pitching, and because I've pitched before, so I learned the curveball in freshman year, and so I'm like, maybe I bust off a curveball for these guys. But then I'm like, what are you doing? There's no batter to fool. It's a speed gun. Nobody's measuring the fucking drop. I mean, now you got Pitching Ninja and all these fucking dudes and to measure the break on a sweeper and all that shit. See, now that's my game. That's where I need to get involved. I need to call up the guys from Pitching Ninja to go ahead and check the movement on all of my pitches. But instead, it was all heat. It was all gas. It was all fucking fastballs, right? You got to just show up and Randy Johnson the shit out of this thing and hope a pigeon doesn't show up. So fucking, I'm in line and there's kids, they're firing the ball, whatever the fuck. Everybody's having a good time. And then I get the ball, right? And, my ex is there and she's like swooning. She got her fucking, hand under her chin. My hero. And I'm like, yay, watch this. And, I will readily admit to you now, and probably I should have admitted it then, I don't know how to throw a pitch. Like, you're supposed to use your trunk and your haunches. Who's got haunches out there? Show of hands. Thank you. I think I have haunches, or I used to have haunches. Look, I got calves that look like there's a fucking softball in them, for fuck's sake, from carrying my fat carcass around fucking forever. And my thighs, leg day, they get a little swole. Look, I'm just fucking, my legs are ripped because I'm a man of certain carriage. So because of that, my legs it's leg day every day. Walking to the mailbox is fucking leg day for me. It's like a ship listing in the surf. I'm just like, I move like Godzilla. When you see him come out of the water, I'm like I'm just I'm a Mike Schmidt kaiju. That's all I am. I'm just a big Mike Schmidt kaiju. So sure enough, I wind up, I get the ball and I do the whole bit. I do the wind up, like not like fucking, let's put it this way. I didn't check the runner. Okay. I didn't balk, but I knew, you got to generate some power somehow. You can't just be an arm guy. So I went into a wind up and I had not a kick, but I did raise my knee and then flew forward and threw the ball. Now I will tell you this, you're not pitching to anybody. There's just a big fucking painted canvas, tarp. I guess a tarp would be a better word because it gives. So, and it's got, a kid painted on it who's batting, and it's got a catcher and an umpire. Let's put it this way. They covered all the bases of the things you would normally be pitching to. And I don't even know, because again, I might have even closed my eyes, but I was just concerned with throwing it as hard as I fucking could. And I wanted to throw it right through the fucking tarp. I wasn't concerned with throwing a strike. I'm not busting one off at the knees on fucking Michelangelo's batter. You know what I mean? It's not happening. And I don't care if the imaginary umpire calls a strike. The catcher, he's going to be on one knee, digs it out of the dirt, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. It just needs to be fucking fast. And again, everybody's watching me. There's children. They know I'm from Los Angeles. Clearly, I'm a celebrity, minor celebrity, at least podcasting wise. At the time, not anymore, but back then I sure was. So I reared back and I put a knee in the air and I fired as hard as I could. And it makes that, like that, it hits that whump noise on the canvas. And the speed gun's up there in the old corner. And, like I said, I was shooting for 70. I would have been happy with 65. Not expecting the 46 that showed up when I hurled the fastball at the canvas. And if you've heard this story before, that number could be wrong. I might be making myself look better than I was because I don't remember the specific number, but it was like a mid 40s. I'm giving myself the 46 because 47 is cheating. 46 makes it sound like I'm not a complete pussy. But I can't say 43 because that's just awful. And I'm not going to say 45 because that's just like, oh yeah, you said 45. It's like a total lie. So 46 makes it sound like I was at least a little bit better. But the bottom line is I'm in the 40s. I'm not even barely mid 40s. And I'm telling you, I was bummed. And I tried to hide it, but I'm sure I wasn't good at it because then Jill was like, she's like, oh, yay, or whatever. She's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, I can't believe that happened. I go, I am so embarrassed that it was just that. She's like, why? What do you? Because again, I'm not a pitcher. I wasn't trying out for the major leagues, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? What is there to be disappointed in when you fire it at the fucking canvas and you who gives a shit? Is someone going to see me later at the fucking ice cream thing and be like, dude, I would fucking rope you. I would take that weak shit deep. And I have to be honest with you, man. I wish somebody would have. How great would that have been? The rest of the time I'm at the park, just fucking dudes point at me and just two eyes, eye to eye. And they're just like, dude, I would square up on you. I would rip one in the gap, one off the wall, perhaps even I'd hit, you know what? I got light tower power against your 46 junk and they would fucking destroy me. I would talk shit, because honestly, I would respect it because I would have done that sort of thing, especially I had to look confident. I know I did because I felt confident. I felt like, you know what? Here we go. All right, everybody. Kids are having a good time, and that's totally fine. Now, this sounds certainly like insult, does it not? That I would throw 46 in front of a crowd, and I shouldn't care because nobody's there who's going to, like I said, nobody's going to take me deep. Nobody's going to fucking go, you know what, pal, square up. Let's do this. Understood. Granted, I will tell you this: even the batter painted on the canvas winked at me. That's probably bad, right? He sees right through my weak stuff. He fucking knew. He's like, dude, if I wasn't made of paint, I would have fucking taken you deep. Never get trash talked by a tarp. So sure enough, man, that's embarrassing enough. And like I said, my ex. I should say this: I don't think my ex, hugged me or anything, or said, "Oh, don't worry about it, honey." I think she probably even kind of looked at me askance, like, really? That's all you got? That's my guess. Or she may have put up a front to be like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. That's fine. Let's get out of here before somebody sees that I'm dating a fucking weakling. But I will tell you this. Behind me in line, strapping young high school gentleman. And he comes to the line, and he's not directly behind me, let's put it this way, I throw the 46, and I casually move to the side, and I want to hide. I want to run onto the field just to get arrested, so I'm placed in a drunk take so nobody can stare at me. Although I guarantee this, I would have got pinched, thrown in the drunk take, and at 3 a.m, some dude would have said, "Hey man, are you the fucking noodle arm who was at the park tonight?" At Miller Park. Let's fucking go, man. Yeah, so I was bummed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm bummed about it now. I think I'm blushing telling this fucking story because it was so embarrassing, even though, as I mentioned, and at the time what was I, 47 probably, 2014, 15, I was 47, 48. So that's about the time you retire. I can't even say it. Look, that's about the time you hang up your spikes, right? So I got nothing to be ashamed of. 48-year-old guy just throwing. I didn't even throw my age. That's the fucking worst part of it. I didn't even throw my fucking age. You gotta be kidding me, man. And I thought I'd hit 70, completely confident, and I didn't throw my age. So. Sure, I've slunk off to the side, and I'm with my ex, who, and you all know my pathology. Like, already, I'm concerned with being enough of a man to keep her around anyway, and now I'm like, oh great, some fucking He-Man is gonna show up here and throw like 90, and fucking she's gonna just be like my hero, and they're gonna walk off. She puts a rubber band bow in her hair. He must pay the rent. She can't pay the rent. But what happened? I stepped aside. Clearly shell-shocked by my inability to fucking at least throw my age. And in the line, there was a high school kid. And, I mean, this kid, he's with his friends, and he's just fucking around. He doesn't do a wind-up. He doesn't do a kick. He literally just fucking takes the ball and kind of like tosses it a couple times, and then he just, boom, and he throws it. And he's over 70. If I remember right, it was like 73 or something like that. But regardless of what it was almost 30 miles an hour faster than what I had done. And I mean, dudes, he might as well have just fucked me in the ass right in front of everybody. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds ridiculous. It's nonsense. But because again, I've walked away. Nobody's thinking about me at all. Nobody else has me in their brain. Nobody else is like, oh, look at you, 73. That was much better than that pussy from Los Angeles. Like, nobody fucking did that. Only in my brain was I the one who was like, oh, fuck, man. This kid just fucking showed me up. This guy. And I was like weird in my brain and in my stomach, and I was nervous, and I thought I looked stupid, and I thought I looked bad in front of my ex, and I was like, and again, none of that shit was happening. Except in my skull. You know, nobody around there is telling this story. That kid is not like, well, I'll tell you what, we had a young gunslinger come in here, and he just fucking showed up, this guy from Los Angeles. Like, he's not telling the other carnies or whoever the fuck he works with at the park. But it doesn't matter, because that's what I think. And in a roundabout way, this is telling you, I guess, a little bit, well, you know me. You've listened to the fucking show long enough. There's nobody in the world who's harder on me than me. And there's nobody who holds myself to an unbelievably, ridiculously high standard than me. And there's no one in the world who will tell himself he's not good enough more than I will tell myself I am not good enough. It's just the way it is, man. And, trying to fight it. But I had a real particularly bad bout of it recently. Anyway, fuck this. Who cares? I'm sitting in the classroom with the Rich and Sam and Antonia, and Mr. Scully was our teacher. And Mr. Scully, let me tell you about Mr. Scully. He had his hair was like super greasy, but now that I think about it, I'm wondering if it was a toupee that he'd wetted down so it would stick to his head. Because in, the 70s, they didn't have glue that worked. I don't know, man. He looked fucking weird. And Lenny had him before I had him. And I'm in he's a science teacher, but also a study hall guy. And he was clearly, let's put it this way, he was an effeminate guy. All right? He was a bit of a swish, you know what I mean? He was this kind of, mincing throughout the classroom, whatever the fuck. And by the way, he might not have been, but 11-year-old me thought for sure that he was. You know what I mean? And so we all and look, not just me. It was me and Sam and everybody in the class thought that he was a gentleman of the gay persuasion, if you will. And that seems like a long title. We just thought he was gay. And again, who gives a shit? But when you're 11, you know, oh my God, guys, Mr. Scully gay. Oh my God, he's so gay. Did you see that gay guy? Oh my God, what a gay guy who teaches science. Oh my gosh, he's so gay. So it's gossipy weirdness and stupidity and also I'm a fucking 11. I'm not gonna sit here and defend my behavior when I was fucking 11 years old, especially with the zoo I grew up in. So so we were all at a table and he was passing out worksheets or something. And he walks over and he said something, and I don't even recall what it was. Bullshit. I do. Rich asked him. He didn't just. We asked him. He didn't just say it. And Rich asked him about his wife, like if he had a wife, and he said he had a wife, Mr. Scully. And me and Sam and Rich, because we're geniuses, we basically did somersaults. We were just like, a wife? Oh my! You have a wife? Like we were trying to drive the point home without saying the word, but our comically bad overacting was indicating the fact that we probably thought he was a gay guy. And also, we're just kids. We're stupid kids. And he's probably sick of it at that fucking point, right? And I will say this, though, about him. He was fish belly white, this guy. And he looked clammy. Like when I say he wetted down his hair, like possibly for a tube to make it it was like, that 70s kind of just flat to the skull, no poof, no boof, just fucking flat, and that side part and everything was pulled away. I mean, he looked like he had just emerged from a pool always, and he was just clammy, just a wet, clammy man. Hands, hair, even sweating through his shirt a little bit, and just super fish belly white, just a white, clammy dude. He looked like the underside of a shark. So he was I'm going to say it. He was gross. He was just a gross looking. He looked like the kind of dude who would be jerking off in like an adult bookstore. And take it from me, if anyone in the podcasting world can tell you about what a guy who's jerking off in a bookstore looks like, it's going to be your good friend Mike. Having been an employee in fucking adult bookstore. God, that's terrible. What a fucking life. What an absolute dead end I am. All right. So sure enough, that's what he looked like. He looked like the dude who would get caught. He looked like everybody's kind of handsy uncle. He just looked fucking gross. He was just a gross looking dude, man. And look, I'm not saying let's do this now because it's 2024, or is it 2025? I don't know how long I've been off. This is a guy who, again, I don't care if you're a gay person. I don't care who you love who you love. Don't hurt anybody. That's fine. But 11-year-old me is seeing this dude, and I'm not thinking, oh my God, he's gay, so he's gross. I'm thinking because he's sweating through his shirt and he looks sticky. I mean, this guy, he might as well had a Charms pop stuck to his fucking forehead. The guy was like a theater floor. He just looked fucking nasty, sticky, and wet and clammy, and just fishy, greasy. I don't even know how to explain it. He looked like the kind of guy you'd want to wear oven mitts if you were going to shake his hand. Just fucking grim. And so that's who he was. And so we asked him about his wife, and he mentioned his wife. And then the three of us, because we're very subtle, probably were like, your wife? What? Like giant wide eyes. And he's probably sick of us at this point because I'm 11 there. Because I got double promoted. So I'm in fucking 6th grade. I'm 11 years old. Or I'm in 7th grade. I'm 11 years old. And sure enough, like and those two are, whatever the fuck they are. And out of nowhere, Antonia, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cast the finger of blame at Antonia. This is her fault, quite frankly. This whole story is her fault because she didn't have to get involved. We were already doing our part to be stupid, and she came in and turned on us. You know what she did? She turned on us. She jumped out of our canoe and right into fucking Fishbelly's canoe. She went right into Mr. Scully's Fishbelly canoe, and she sided with him. And it's like, what are you doing? You're with us. We're a Polish, Mexican, Dominican, Irish, fucking German Benetton ad in a fucking 6th grade classroom. What the fuck is your 7th grade classroom? What the fuck? How are you turning on us? That's crazy. But what she did was he talked about his wife, and we were like, wife? What? Oh my God, a wife? That's crazy. You have a wife? And in the middle of all of it, Antonia, apparently sick of our tomfoolery, sick of our shenanigans, and not letting us get up to any more of this nonsense, she just belts out, he's not gay, you guys, with an accent on the word gay. Now, again, it's 1978. So it's just a different time. We don't even have AIDS yet. You know what I mean? I'm 11. I just, gay it's just so crazy different. And also, and it's funny, my mom had gay friends. She had a friend named Sonny, and I should have asked him if he knew Mr. Scully. So I knew the concept, but I also, look, I'm going to tell you, 11-year-olds in the Midwest in middle school, it was the worst fucking thing in the world to be called. Like, if you were called it and somebody meant it, you were like, we're going to fight. Now, certainly, things have changed in my brain, but at the time when you're 11, the very mention of the word gay, because we were avoiding it. We were just like, you have a wife? Oh my gosh, you have a wife. So we're wink, wink, nudge, nudging our way through it, me, Sam, and Rich, because we're, the fucking geniuses that we are. We're comedic geniuses, certainly, and the subterfuge was not exposed until Antonia pipes up and just goes, he's not gay, you guys, and really leans on the gay like it's a car horn. And it was shocking, I won't lie, because to say it directly in front of him, implying is one thing. All of this fucking hand jive nonsense, furtive glances back and forth, wink, wink, we're hilarious because my wife, all that is it's cover. You know what I mean? We're not coming right out and saying the thing that we think, but as an 11-year-old and two 13-year-olds, we think we're being subtle. We think we're getting away with it. You know what I mean? We think you know what? We're pulling the wool right over this fucking clammy dude's eyes. We're pulling the toupee right down over his eyes. We think that we are being clever. Whatever clever means when you're 11 years old. What, a wife? Oh my, wow, you have a wife? And when she says the word gay, it's like, guess what? It's on. You know what I mean? This is a real situation because she said gay in front of the guy we think is gay, but you can't say he's gay because whatever the fuck. And also, it's disrespectful. I'm 11. And so she goes, he's not gay, you guys. Fucking train horn. And it was shocking. And Rich and Sam were both kind of like taken aback by it. And because you know me, though, I'm a bit of a, how do I explain myself? I'm a quick firing guy. I'm a quick shooter, so to speak, in this parlance anyway. I shoot from the hip. I don't think. I talk. And while those two guys, Sam and Rich, were shocked and kind of stunned into silence by, it's not gay. He's not gay, you guys. I don't think I missed a beat. There was like although actually there may have been just like, she was like, he's not gay, you guys. And he's right there. So it's crazy weird. And I just went with, and I did this with all of the implication that my squeaky little 11-year-old voice could muster. I didn't even miss a beat either. I pride myself on saying the dumbest thing possible as quickly as anybody else in the world could possibly do it. I'm gonna say, look, if you're looking for a dude to say something dumb fast, that's me. And so I look, Antonia's like, he's not gay, you guys. And I just, I didn't even think. I again, little squeaky tiny little boy, 11-year-old voice, whatever the fuck. It is fucking striped shirt, or it is corduroy dungarees, whatever the fuck I was wearing at the time. Hand me down, sure, fucking Goodwill nonsense because we were broke. And I just looked right at her and I go, how do you know? And I think about it now, and again, as an 11-year-old boy, because clearly we know what the implication is. I'm throwing it out there because she said he's not gay, you guys. So I'm either implying that Antonio has firsthand knowledge of this, Antonia, not Antonio. Antonia has firsthand knowledge of this, or she's had some lengthy conversation with the man. It doesn't matter what the fuck. And let's put it this way. There was not that much thought that went into it. I was just being a fucking cunt. So she's just like, he's not gay, you guys. And I just go, how do you know? Like a detective. How do you know? Was it because it wasn't like, how do you know? It was just fucking clean and rude. How do you know? Like, I think I even squinted my eyes. I may have had I may have had a magnifying glass and a Hound of the Baskervilles hat. My dear Watson, my dear Antonia. He's not gay, you guys. How do you know? And let's put it this way, as quickly as I said it, I think it's almost twice as quickly. That's how Mr. Scully was able to react, by punching me right in the fucking head. And I'm not kidding. Not like, it wasn't like, he shoved me or he dragged me together. He cranked out that knuckle in the middle of his hands. Right there in the middle. Do it right now with me. Just pull that knuckle right out of here. And he just fucking jacked me right in the temple. And sent me to space. Because I was a little groggy. Like, woo. Like, you get lightheaded when you get fucking jacked. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, clearly you, Sam, and Rich jumped this man and beat him down, right? No, not at all. Of course not. Clearly not. And then you're thinking, well, Sam and Rich probably went ahead and defended you in some way. No, absolutely not. They just sat there. I think the only thing that hit harder than Mr. Scully's knuckle into the side of my head was all three of our jaws hitting the table after I got fucking punched, because it was just like, Kong, what the fuck just happened? And I ate it. Look, I'm a tough kid. I'm going to eat a fucking right hook from a goddamn gay science teacher. I can do that. That's who I am as a fella. That sounded gay alone, that sentence. But yeah, so that, why did I even get on this? Oh, you know why? Because I can take knuckle punches from anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. Gay science teacher's my older brother. That's what fucking happens. I'm a guy built to take knuckle punches. And look, you can hit me with a whole fist. I've been hit with a whole fist clearly many times. That sounds weirdly aggressive. But if you jack out the one, the fucking knuckle, the finger knuckle there, I specialize in those. And I'm talking from tip to toes. I'm from scalp to fucking ankles. I'm taking it in the calves. I'm taking it in the temple, and and I live to tell the fucking tale. That's right. You're not going to get me down. You never got me down, Ray. You never fucking got me down, Ray. Sugar Ray Robinson hits me with a fucking knuckle extended. I take it and I look right at him. Yeah, you never got me down, Ray. Actually, even better. Sugar Ray hits me with the fucking extended knuckle, and I go, how do you know? Whack. How do you know, Ray? Whack. Oh, Christ. I'm a guy who takes knuckle punches. That's who I am as a person. You know what? If there's a defining quality of me as a person, other than being terrified of my own shadow half the fucking time, it's I can take a knuckle punch. I can take a knuckle punch from an older brother or a gay science teacher. Line them up. I'm gonna throw a 44-mile-an-hour fastball right at him. All right. So I don't know. Like every day I've thought of talking to you guys, and I want to talk to you every day, and then I'm like, nobody wants to hear me. It's so fucking dumb. Language is killer. Don't say bad things about yourself. I totally get it. But I'll be honest with you. My fucking brain broke, man. And I don't want to turn this into an explanation fest. Maybe I'll do that in the next show. We'll delve deeper into it. There's too much to talk about right now, clearly. And I won't fucking kill you guys with talking. Although I guess I already have. What did I cover so far? We talked about me getting punched several times. What if let's just call this the punching show? What do you say? But so I know some of you were angry and want an explanation, and some of you have reached out already. I've had people in Europe who are my friends, my friend Alex and Liam and other people have written me, and I'm not going to say every name. What if I did? What if I made it romper them? I see Jordy and Willie and Stevie and Jamie and a lot of other people with E at the end of their name. And look, man, people were nice. They've reached out, and I've been able to convince me because I'll tell you, you're asking, why not? People reach out and they're very nice. And in my brain, I'm like, man, you know what? I can't believe I tricked those people into reaching out and telling me that they liked the show to try to trick me into doing a show or whatever the fuck. And I don't know why I think that, because that's that way, because once the snowball's rolling downhill, it's tough to stop. And so if I don't do a show for a couple weeks and then for 3 weeks, and then I told you this is right out of my childhood. I wouldn't do homework on like Friday, or I wouldn't do something on Friday, and then I would spend all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like, you know, I'd fuck around and do nothing until Sunday night, and then it would just drop on my neck like a guillotine, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I got to do that. Well, what am I going to do? Well, maybe I can be sick tomorrow. Maybe I should just ditch tomorrow. Maybe it's fight or flight, but it's always flight. It's very rarely been fight. You know, I'm a guy who will absolutely take no for an answer, and especially from myself. Hey, you good enough to do this? No, man, come on, you're not good enough to do this. What are you talking about? And I don't know who needs to hear this. Nobody. I don't know who wants to hear this. Maybe some people, because people have been very kind. I reached out to Fearful Jesuit and talked to him. You know, my buddy Adam, you know, has texted with me, and I owe him texts. And I'll say this to you, okay? I haven't done a podcast in a very long time. I think it's now 6 months, maybe even 6.5. I haven't been on Facebook in 6 months. 5.5 months, because it was, to me, again, it was stupid to go. Well, it's several levels. One is it was dumb for me to go because you're not doing a show, and then, like I said, even if I post anything funny, something, whatever, someone's gonna go, hey, what about a show? Are you gonna do a fucking show? You jerk! What the fuck's your problem? And I know you're like, oh man, nobody does that. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at some emails that I've received by people that I'm not going to get into, or you'd be surprised by people writing on YouTube and basically telling me I'm a fuck up and I'm not valuable and I'm no longer good at what I do, and I read it and I take it to heart. Like it can be two people, which it usually is, and then I'm like, and for some reason they outweigh the thousands of other people who want to hear me talk. And believe me, I talk about that to myself every day, where I just go, hey man, you know, why are you like, it goes back to something I said the first year of this podcast, and you've heard me say it over and over. If there's a parade in your honor, and who among us has not had a parade in their honor? I know in Milwaukee, they were queuing up the floats when I threw my 44-mile-an-hour fastball. If I could have gotten to 50, I bet we would have gone ahead and unleashed those goddamn floral patterns all over those Buicks, and everybody would have saluted me, and then we would have gone to any number of the thousands of pubs they have in Wisconsin. And then any number of the men there would have been trying to talk to my girlfriend, as I did everything I could to avoid that. So, what was I saying? Talking about parade floats and Milwaukee. Oh, for season, I talked about if you have a parade for you and you go out there and everybody loves you and they're chanting your name and they're cheering for you and they're throwing flowers at you and you're on the fucking float, you're the king of the fucking swing, and they're giving you fucking beads and necklaces and showing you their tits and they're giving you tiger eyes and stuff, and that's fucking amazing. I should explain what a tiger eye is now that I think about it. Tiger eye is it was a candy. Some people call them bullseyes, but it's caramel with cream in the middle. You ever see those? Hold on, my throat made a noise. I apologize. See, we're back. That's when you know the show's officially back, is when my throat goes into business for itself. My throat decides it's going to go on strike and make a fucking weird noise. And you know what? Normally in my brain, I'd want to go back and fucking do this, but I have momentum, so I can't. I don't give a fuck what happens now. I could probably even say the N-word at this point and go, yeah, no, just keep going, buddy. You finally have momentum. just make it the last show forever and put it out. What the fuck? So my throat just made a noise and I apologize. But a bullseye it's a piece of candy, and it's caramel with cream in the middle, and I love them. And I will tell you this, I don't know if they still sell them, but when I was, well, first of all, I should tell you why we call them tiger eyes, because bullseyes, everybody I think knows them as, but I went to a drive-in when I was a kid. There was a drive-in that was, I'm not joking, half a mile from my house. It was fucking awesome. I've told you this story. Look, guys, hey man, we're digging this grave, all right? We're exhuming this corpse and beating it out for everything just to get through at least this fucking show. You know why? Because I don't want to talk about the world. I got no real interest in talking about the fucking world because it is over. And see, so this is the thing I told myself. I'm like, because, you know, our lives are dominated by what's going on the fucking planet right now. And we all know what's coming in 2 weeks or a week now, week and a half. Not even a week. Holy fuck, a week and 2 days. and it's a coin flip, and who the fuck knows what's going to happen, right? And so no, I all of us feel like Jim Morrison. We're like, I'm gonna get mine before the whole shit house goes up in flames. So I'm gonna do at least one fucking podcast where I don't have to talk about that asshole and everything else. And yeah, we talked in the beginning about whatever the fuck Puerto Rico, but why the fuck not? But I just, my brain fucking broke, man. And it still is to a certain extent. And I fucking, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I have friends, like close friends, who've written me or called me, and I've not called them back. I haven't reached out. And this is not a good thing to do when you're old. You know what I mean? When you're fucking old, man, you should be doing everything you can to surround yourself with love and friends. You know what I mean? You can't fucking hide, because inevitably, I'm going to wind up a verse in the Eleanor Rigby. You know what I mean? I can't fucking do that, man. Here is Mike Schmidt. Now, he is a podcaster, or at least he was for a while. Nobody cares. Hey, that doesn't rhyme. Nobody cares. Yeah, I know, but it's a song. It's what nobody cares. So you just can't do that. You know what I mean? You want to, but and that's what I've done, is I've shut myself off from people and not returned texts and not returned phone calls, and don't, like I said, well, all right, really quick before I get into the let me write this down so I don't forget. And I'm look, I have to be honest with you, man. All right, I'm going to talk about him for just a second. The Republican candidate for president is a guy named Donald Trump, and I've made this joke since 2016 that he's got more in common with me than he does with fucking presidents like Abe Lincoln and that. He's a fucking shitbag, and I don't think I'm a bad person. Who knows? Maybe. But I will tell you this, like, again, that bit where he gets up on stage and he talks for fucking 2 hours, and he just, he's 1 minute he's talking about tariffs, and then 1 minute he's talking about Haitians eating your dog, and then he's talking about Lola Falana gave him a hand job once at the Copa, and everybody's just like, oh, we love this guy. And then people started to make fun of him for it and say, hey man, this guy's talking about Hannibal Lecter and fucking weird windmills killing birds because of electricity or whatever the fuck. And then he's like, hey man, I call it the weave. Like, he's even got a name for it. That's I call it talking at the speed of my head or whatever the fuck. But he's like, yeah, it's called the weave. Like, I can do this and then come back and talk about whatever. And I hate that I knew what he was talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I hated that I understood what he was trying to get across. And you know what? Another thing we both have in common is we both think we're fucking geniuses when we do it. Even though, like I said, I've heard from people like I'm not going to get into it, but I've found out that people who I thought previously enjoyed that don't. They've been very vocal about the fact that they don't care for that. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's weird, because I thought I was doing a good thing, and that made me go, well, why am I even doing this? Because again, when I have a story or whatever to tell you, I'll tell you something that happened and whatever the fuck, and we wring every fucking drop out of it. But sometimes it's just this, you know what I mean, where I'm just fucking talking or whatever the fuck. And I almost like that more. I like the weave, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. I like going in and around and doing shit and just retelling a story or whatever the fuck. And then someone was like, yeah, Mike thinks this is a good thing, but it's always fucking bad. Something I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, Mike talked about this for fucking ever and it went nowhere. It was fucking stupid. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. And what's funny is, like, I wanted to come back and do the show for you guys and talk to you. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to talk about the world because I think it contributes to my spin out. So what I want to do is just come out and talk, right? But then I'm like, someone just said that when you do that, when you just talk, it's not good. So why would you lean on that now? You can't do that. And then I'm like, well, now I'm rapidly losing bullets for the gun. Like, what the fuck do I have here? And let me go ahead and separate myself from this and go, I know all this is bullshit. I know it. I shouldn't take criticism to heart, because if you're planning to be a public figure, you're talking into a fucking microphone, but it's closer for me. I think I've talked about this before too. And again, I know this is what I wanted to avoid. I don't want to keep digging this grave. I don't. I didn't even finish the parade analogy, did I? If you're at a parade and everybody's throwing flowers and they're excited for you and you love it, it's a fantastic thing. And then one brick hits you in the fucking head, and that's all you'll talk about for the next 10 years. You at least me, my personality type, my pathology, I can't just go, man, that was a lovely day and 8 hours of fucking adulation and everybody was fucking great to me. No, I'll tell you the story about the brick that hit me in the fucking head. And it's a silly, foolish thing to do. You should be able to look past the brick. You shouldn't be so myopic and go, oh, well, that one person ruined it for me. Or I made that person upset, or I displeased them, or they don't like what I do, so I should just stop doing what I do. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy talk, and it's crazy thinking, but I've been plagued by it forever. You know, it's just a thing where I take no for an answer. So if someone criticizes me in that sort of way, I don't need you to tell me twice to shut up. Cool. And that's so dumb, because if you had the fucking balls, if you had any confidence, if you had any sort of self-esteem, you'd just say, fuck this. Who cares? I do what I fucking do. But I will tell you this, like when I said, it cuts a little closer for me because the show is about me. You know what I mean? So like when I talk about stuff, it's about me and my life and the things that I've done and who I am. And look, I will say this. I'm a challenging person. All right. I get this. I know there are people who don't like me. I know there are people who pity me. I know there are people who laugh at me. And because I've received all of these communiques. It's not a lot of people, but it's enough. Where they make fun of me, or they tell me, you know, I always knew you'd fail. You fucking set it up, and we knew you would. And you know, those people, all they're doing is echoing the bullshit that's in my head. You know what I mean? I mean, I like I said, I'm fully embarrassed that I did a one-man show fucking 10 years ago. Not even 15 years ago. And it ended with me talking about escaping a life wasted. And would I be able to change my life? And I wanted to do it for the people in the audience because I wanted to prove to them they didn't bet on the wrong horse. I wanted to prove that investing their time in me and my art, or whatever you want to call this, was a good choice. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I didn't waste their time. And look, over the years, there's been plenty of episodes where I wasted your time. I recognize that I became a different person during certain segments of my life. And it's funny. Let me put it this way. Like, you know, I was in a fucking, I was in a fucking blender for a few years. Okay. And I, through all of my codependency and also my own shortcomings and stuff, I stayed in like I wanted to. It was a drug. It was an addiction. It was to a certain extent. And that was my thing. And I was told, you know, it was funny, like, Max would reach out to me and he'd be like, hey, you know, you're fucking up the show. Like, and he didn't say it like that. He wasn't mean, but he'd be like, hey man, there's people who write me and they're like, you know, they can't listen because of the way you are right now. And I'd be like, first of all, of course, you know, I'm like, who are they? And he's like, I can't tell you. And I'm like, just tell me who the fuck it is. I'll reach out to them to have a conversation, because that seems more healthy than them telling you, because you don't want to be involved in this bullshit, I would imagine. But he was trying to help in a fucking weird way, because he never told me the people, and I got it. You know, that's fine. But it was enough for me to know that there were people out there who were not fucking digging it. And I betrayed myself. I would spin situations in certain ways, where it was clearly, it was not as I was describing, though it may have been the same events that happened. I was telling them in a way to make them better. So I didn't look like such a fucking pussy half the fucking time. Anyway, so you know, I'm angry at myself for some of the choices I've made, certainly in the narrative of this show, to tell things a certain way, to live a certain way, but the funny thing is those echo choices in my life, And so that's the thing where you just go, Jesus fucking Christ, what were you doing, man? And it showed here because this show is, I don't want to say it's my life, but it's about my life. Clearly, it's as close as you're going to get. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about podcasting anymore. I know there are very famous people who are doing it, and they're all making a lot of money, and good for them. Because God knows Conan O'Brien needs another dime. And look, I don't begrudge any artist for doing the thing that they need to do to express themselves. It's just, this is a new medium, and there you go. But at the same time, as you know, guy not even at the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, you know what they did? They dug a hole to the center of the earth and they put the totem pole in, and I'm at the bottom holding it up. I'm in the core of the earth of podcasting. All right. And so I have no, and also look, there shows, because believe me, this happens too. Whenever I do this, I compare myself, and I'll get some note, and everybody's like, "You're comparing yourself to fucking Conan O'Brien? What a fucking joke! The guy's successful. He's been on TV forever." I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, yes. I was, because he jumped into this medium, which was something that I thought I did well, and it turns out maybe I don't do it as well as him. And you know what? That's a blow. I'm not gonna lie to you. It fucking takes you right out at the fucking knees when you're like, "Hey, I thought I was good at something," and then you get a note from somebody, and they're like, "No, fuck, you're fucking terrible," and you're like, Jesus Christ. Or a fucking famous dude comes in and he does better than you, and you're like, God damn it. But also, he's not telling you about the fight he got into at the post office. You know what I mean? He's talking to Vince Vaughn, for fuck's sake. And it's not even the same species. It's not even the same sport as what I fucking do. And whether that's good or bad is for you to decide, for the listener, for anybody else. You know what I mean? I do this. Because believe me, over the last 6 months, I've actually thought to myself, I'm like, what if I came back with again, we tried it with last night at Schmitty's. I was fully intending to do that. It was a thing where I'm like, you know what, I should do this or whatever. I should make this work. And I'm not kidding. When I got COVID in my brain, I lost my voice, and I was like, son of a bitch, does this ever stop? Like, am I ever going to have momentum that I can push forward? But here's the thing. It's never perfect. It's never perfect. You just fucking do it. You shut the fuck up and you do it. Instead of going, well, it should be, you know, I need it perfect. I need my voice, or I need this or whatever. No, it's never going to be that. And I think I alluded to this the last time I did a fucking episode. You know, and I have my phone, you know, I have an iPhone. And my phone is fat like a wallet filled with money, just because it's got all of these fucking motivational sayings that I've kept in my screenshots and bookmarked, and I read them all the time. I have texts from listeners who said unbelievably kind things to me. You know, Adam and Jill and Jamers and everybody who's reached out to me, you know, who say great things or send me a song or do this or do that. And so I read them, you know what I mean? I read them all the time. And I go, you're letting these people down, man. But here's the thing, rather than rise up like a hero and be like, yeah, you know, fuck yeah, it's time to fucking stop, man. Let's fucking go. Instead I go, you're letting these people down, man. Oh man, that's fucking terrible. They probably hate you now. Oh man, they don't want anything to fucking do with you. See, you fucked it up so bad. And then, you know what looks good? The couch and the bed and pillows and blankets and old movies and fucking anything to wrap my soul in cotton so I don't have to think about it. It's fucking weird, man. And it's, you know, like I said, I'm leaving people high and dry and upsetting them. And I wish I was not, and I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. But to my point, I was talking like I did when I did last night at Schmitty's. You know, over the last 6 months, I'm like, we should do something different. Maybe I should do something different. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe doing a show that rubs so raw. Maybe that's so close to me, and it, you know, so it's. This show's my Quato, you know what I mean? It's sticking out of my fucking chest. I mean, what the fuck? It's just part of me, and it feels I feel the pain when people insult it or hurt it or stab it or punch it or whatever the fuck they want to do, or tell me it sucks or it's not good. I feel that at like almost like a real fucking blow sometimes, where I'm like, and it makes me just go, yeah, you know, if they hate it, I should just stop. You know what I mean? Fuck it. After doing it for, 13 and a half years or whatever the fuck, and doing it a year before that, and doing stand-up for 30 years, man. I'll tell you a story. All right, I have to write something down because I know I'm forgetting something else. But yeah, man, it's. I've done stand-up for 30 years, and remember I was like, I'm going to get back to doing it. And I think I told you the story. I went and did a show at a golf course my brother booked, and it was a real crowd. It wasn't just these workout rooms with comedians, and I did fucking great. And the shows I've done in Chicago have been, I think they were good. There was no fucking, they were as good as they can be for a guy who's doing stand-up once a year. The very fact, this will sound dumb, the very fact that I can get on stage and do 30-minute shows after having not, once a year, like a week of 30-minute shows, to me, knowing the business, that's kind of fucking outrageous because you're supposed to be working every night. You're supposed to be good and doing this. And I'm going up with different, it's not like I work material into anything. I go up and fucking have an idea of what, sometimes I'll go up with shit I wrote that day. Or sometimes stuff I wrote in the green room. Who the fuck knows? Because I trust myself enough that I can go ahead and pull it off. And then I go out there and then I do pull it off. And then I'm super high and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fucking good at this. Look at me. I'm the king. And then 3 days later, I'm like, oh yeah, remember that when I was the king and what the fuck do I do now? It's so stupid, dude. I can't explain it. And I know, all these people are going to be like, well, you just got to climb out of the mud, man. You just got to move forward and do the thing you're supposed to fucking do. Because I've talked about it on the show before. Do your job. Move forward. Do all the things. Be a shark. I've said these fucking things, but I don't live them half the time. Sometimes I do. Let's put it this way. I live them in my real life. I'm driving like a fucking idiot. I wish I wasn't. I wish I was able to, I had bigger dreams than being a 57-year-old taxi driver. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's my fault. I have not done the things I'm supposed to fucking do. And it hurts me to say it out loud. It does. It's just, and especially here, because this was supposed to be my baby. I used to always write people and I'd say, hey man, you keep listening, I'll keep talking. And I betrayed that. I stopped talking because I convinced myself nobody needed to hear what I had to say. And there are other reasons for that, as I've talked before. And look, I didn't want to get into all this fucking bullshit. I wanted to just be funny in this first show back. But when I say my brain broke, and when I say I haven't been on Facebook in almost 6 months because I felt like it was a betrayal of people to be on there and fucking making jokes, because then someone would be like, hey man, aren't you doing a fucking show? And I'd be like, God damn it. It's the same reason I haven't answered texts from certain people or phone calls, because why would I do that when I haven't done a show? And then I call them and then they're going to go, hey man, you doing a show? And I have friends who've been very nice. Pat, my buddy Pat, my friend Suzanne, when I talk to them or whatever, they'll say stuff like, hey, you're going to do a show, man? You should do a show. And they do it gently and nice. And they're very kind to me. As opposed to the people who write me and they're like, fuck you, you're not funny ever, which is great. Boy, I love hearing that. Because you know why? Because it makes me go, maybe I wasn't funny. And it's so fucking dumb because I look, and again, me, as I've said before, it's embarrassing to identify with a Billy Joel song. But the song I Go to Extremes it's you read the lyrics and I'm like, that sounds like me a lot. It's sometimes I think I'm fucking great and sometimes I don't fucking know what to do. All I know is that I need to avoid people because they don't like me. And it's not even that they don't like me. It's that I've told myself for some reason that they don't like me, which is just fucking dumb. So there's that part of me, but then there's also this, like I got off Facebook, because I can't hear so many voices anymore. I think, it's funny. Social media and the internet to me were miracles when they first started. I couldn't believe it. And especially for a guy who's a fucking information junkie. Like I told you, I'd read 5 newspapers a day when I lived in Tahoe, sometimes 7 if I could find them. I just loved it. I read it and I would cut out articles and I'd write bits and I loved it. I would drown in information. And now, man, I just want it to fucking stop. Like I want to turn off the fire hose of information and jokes and nonsense. Like Twitter is bad for me. I'm still on there. I still read. Sometimes I post. But I told you I don't fight with ghosts, and I don't want to hate read anything either, but I'll find myself in a loop where I'll be reading comments from people, because again, it passes the time from sunrise to sunset when I'm hiding, when I'm avoiding what I'm supposed to be doing, when, and I can dive in and turn my brain off and read dumb shit. And that's fucking awful. But also, Twitter's bad because it's now full of bad actors. It's full of, look, I'm just gonna say, there's white supremacists, there's fucking terrible fucking trolls, and I don't know if they're from some Russian bot farm. I don't, it's been proven that some of them are. But also, I will tell you this, hold on a second, for some reason, it's 3:00 in the morning and there's a fucking helicopter outside my house. So there's a very good chance that someone is out there with a knife. Is there a spotlight? I can't see if there's a fucking spotlight. Did you guys hear the helicopter? It's gone now. Maybe that guy's running. Is he getting a run through here? My doors are closed. I'm safe for now anyway. But fucking, and look, I'm not choosing sides, okay? There's people on the right or the far right that you just read it and you're just like, this is fucking awful, man. What the fuck? Because I don't agree with any of it, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And then there's people on the far left or on the left, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is fucking awful, man, because I agree with it or I don't agree with it. It's just, it's. And I've talked, you've heard this coming. I saw this meltdown coming. And when I say meltdown, all I did was just fucking run. Like, it's not like I boo-hooed or was like, whatever the fuck, or hurt myself or anything. I just went, this is fucking awful. What the fuck? I can't. Sonically, I can't deal with all the noise. I mean, I've often said my head is full of bees. I got my own shit going on. You know what I mean? I got my own constantly critical voices of myself going on, and also the loss of hope. And I've told you this before, where I just don't see any good things in the future, and I and that leads to me worrying about like my godson or whom I consider my goddaughter, his sister, or young people that I know, or people that I know. I don't think anything good is going to happen. And another reason I feel that way is because and I don't know if you feel this way, and I'm sure you're going to say, well, you got to separate yourself from the fucking social media. Yeah, I get it. I understand that. You're absolutely right, which is what I'm trying to fucking do, like by not going to Facebook. Facebook and Twitter are two different animals, okay? Twitter is, I like the sports stuff. I like the bite-sized jokes sometimes, but just the election and politics as a sport it's crushed me. It knocks the wind out of me because there's nothing that's true anymore. Nothing. There's nothing that can't be spun. There's nothing that you won't be gaslit about. And I don't know. Like, I have so much trouble with the fact that we live in a truth-free society at this point. And I know people, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't agree with me, that's totally fine. I get it. But I found it harmful. I will use this example. Like a couple of weeks ago, Trump was on Bloomberg News. Okay, he did some interview. And I will tell you this, like I'm sure people are like, yeah, Trump derangement says, but whatever the fuck. I think he's a fucking idiot. But I don't read his stuff. I've had people, they send me like, can you believe he said this? Yes, I can. Because he's a fucking jerk. That's why. And that goes with anybody sending me stuff. But I mean, him especially, because I blocked him on everything. Like but I follow news sources and they'll show clips of his speeches, but I don't listen to them. I don't want. Because it's all fucking garbage. All of it. It just is. Now, I'll also tell you this. Like, I don't watch speeches from the other side. It's not like I'm watching Kamala Harris talk a lot. She's... Because for me, there's that thing where Biden was the guy. And I was willing to back him. And it's funny, there are specific people who've written me and they're like, you know what, after the debate, like because I've missed a lot, like I've missed a whole bunch of shit. And after the debate Biden had. There's a guy who used to love this show and was a nice man. He might still be a nice man. I don't know. I don't talk to him. I've met him and his family. Cool guy. But he and I became diametrically opposed, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in politics. He's a MAGA guy and he likes Trump and that's fine. But then he started to take the things I said on the show personally. Like he'd be like, you said we're all fucking idiots. And I'm like, well, because I can't understand why you'd let this fucking guy fool you. But I understand. And he would write me and we had some exchanges. And then I finally just started ignoring them. And then he started to publicly write things about me. And I was like, all right, well, fuck. And he accused me of being, whatever the fuck. And so after the debate, he wrote me a note and he's just like, and all it said was fuckhead. Like that was the that was the subject matter of the note. I didn't even read it. I just fucking threw it. I just deleted it like I did all of his shit that he sent me. But I knew exactly what he meant. I will tell you this. Because I wouldn't say Trump's name on the show. I would call him fuckhead. And after the debate, when let's be honest, man, Biden looked like a fucking goof. Like it was, this is a true story. The night of that debate, Pat and I were going to see Sebastian Bach at a fucking Thousand Oaks, some old theater. So I drove to his house and I was talking to him and his wife and she's like, I'm going to watch the debate. And I don't, as I've already verbalized, I don't understand how anybody wants to see any of this. I can't watch her talk either. I can't watch speeches because it's all stupid, fake football game, rah-rah bullshit. And I've become all of my uncles from when I was a kid who were like, I'll throw all these fucking bums out. Nobody's fucking, you can't believe anything anybody fucking says, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Carter to fucking, Reagan, all of them. Like, everybody's pissed at everybody about everything and nobody believes a politician because they all fucking lie. And I'm that guy. Like and the thing that drives me crazy is like there used to be like a press that would report on stories, right? And then they would tell you like this was a lie or this was right or wrong or whatever but then they've convinced everybody that the press is the enemy. It's so funny. Like I've had this discussion too, and I know I'm all over the place. Don't fucking yell at me. But like homelessness. I'll drive people here that are from out of town. They'll be at an airport and, going to somewhere. They're in town for a convention, a conference, work, whatever the fuck. And inevitably they will want to talk about the homeless problem in Los Angeles because it is fucking brutal. I've told you, I've been accosted by homeless people on the street. I've had a guy punch the hood of my car and try to open my car door. And I floored it through a red light to get away from him because I didn't want him breaking my window. I told you about the guy doing the fucking Pennywise dance who chased my car laughing. Like, it's crazy. Like down at MacArthur Park near Figueroa and Alvarado and stuff. It looks like Calcutta. It looks like a refugee camp. It's crazy, dude. I don't know if I ever told you this story. I picked up a guy in the hood, like in fucking Maywood. And, he wanted me to take him up there by MacArthur Park, which is, I'm telling you, dude, it is from morning to night. It is this hotbed of hobo activity. It is all homeless people. There's a Yoshinoya there and it'll say open. And I'm like, how are you open when you have at least 75 homeless people selling shoes on the floor on the sidewalk in front of your fucking store? And guys will come up on bikes and they'll like give $1 and drive away with one shoe. I've seen it at a stoplight. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you buying one shoe? What the fuck is happening here, man? It's a whole other planet sometimes in Los Angeles when you go places. And I'm sure in a lot of urban areas. And Venice is a fucking nightmare. Even when I was delivering fucking food, when I was fucking Travis Barbecue, I told the story where I went to the beach and you'd walk to go, deliver something down on the, there's the buildings that are right near the beach. Just, you can hear the waves and there'd be homeless guys and you'd be walking with the food. They go, give me that fucking food. Give me that fucking food. They try to scare you basically into giving the food. You just had to roll your eyes and keep fucking walking because, at the same time, there's a fucking homeless guy. It's not like he's drinking milk. It's not doing a body good, and I'm going to punch my hand right through his fucking rib cage if he gets in my fucking grill, right? But that's the deal. They try to spook you a lot of times. And not everybody. A lot of people are hurt and harmed and sick and whatever the fuck. But the people I drive around, they see it, and they're like, They'd be like, how do you deal with this? Oh my gosh. And I think I told you, I had a homeless guy living in a tent outside my fucking house on the strip lawn that's owned by the city. That's not the property of our fucking building. It's a crazy thing. I knew it was bad when I went to Pat's. Pat lives in the Deep Valley. At the fucking off-ramp, there were 2 guys with signs and lawn chairs wanting your dough. I'm like, fuck me, man. I saw people sleeping on the lawn at El Pollo Loco at 2 p.m. I've told you all these fucking stories, and they've just gotten worse. It's just gotten worse here. And so everybody wants to talk about it. And what I always say is I go, well, it's an unsolvable problem. And they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, And I go, well, here's the thing, because they're angry or they're shocked or whatever. And I'm like, look, the first thing you have to do is you have to realize that it's a fact of life. It's happening and it's getting worse. I go, but it's an unsolvable problem because it's going to take a fuck ton of money, but even more than money, you need the emotional capital of people deciding that homeless people are worth helping. And I don't see that ever showing up. Because, and I will tell you this, there have been people who have been hurt by homeless people. My niece, I think I told that story on here, where my niece was walking past a homeless guy and she passed him. And then as she's walking, he shoves her to the ground. He comes up and runs and just pushes her down to the ground. He didn't take anything or steal anything. He just started screaming, fuck, fuck, fuck. And then he ran away. And, she's fucking 18. 18-year-old girl on the street gets shoved to the ground in broad daylight by a fucking homeless dude. It's brutal. And you know what? That'll turn you sour pretty quick. That'll turn you into one of these people who's like, these people need to be in camps. They need to be, they need to be like a fucking hospital and tie them to a fucking gurney. And we got to do experiments, whatever, you know what I mean? It's a small leap from, we got to clean up these streets to, hey, we got to lock these people up in jails for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? And look, I don't have a solution. I don't at all. I would love to have some sort of compassionate solution that fixes it, but even more to me than the money, even more than that, is they have convinced people that homeless people are the enemy. And they are to be feared, and they are to be hated, and they are to be shunned. And I have had plenty of encounters where I would love to have feared and shunned and hated them. You know what I mean? But you have to think in your brain, you're like, once the dust clears, in the moment, you're like, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. But then 10 minutes later, you're just like, man, that guy's fucking sick or whatever the fuck. And he's a danger. He's a danger. So then you're like, and look, if somebody's a danger, you're like, well, they got to put this guy in a hospital. They got to throw him in the clink. But there's no money. And then now there's, this is a true thing. Like there are cops, like in Santa Monica, they will, someone reports a crime or whatever, the homeless person, I've heard this via websites and no firsthand encounters, but where cops will just tell the person, they'll go, yeah, and there's nothing we can do about it. If you report it, he's just going to be out in a few hours because we won't keep him in jail. So you shouldn't even report it. And I don't know if that's police who don't want to fill out a report or if that's completely true. Because there are police who are upset about the voting where people want to be compassionate to homeless people and they're like, fuck that. And I told you, I can understand that because you know what? If I had a job where homeless people were trying to bite me a lot, that would really probably suck. If I had a job where I had to put a mask on dudes to keep them from spitting on me, that would really suck. So and this is the thing. So I have no solution. I would love to be fucking, sunny about it and be like, if there was just a way we could give each of these guys a pamphlet explaining how to wash their hands and they would be, fuck you hippie. That's not going to happen. These fucking guys are sick and some of them are dangerous and they're out on the fucking street and there's no way to fix it. There just isn't, because you need money and you need compassion and you need fucking hospitals. You need all sorts of bullshit and it's not there. It's not there. It's just going to get worse. And that is a thing that rots in my stomach. And I think about it all the fucking time. And I shouldn't. And it's one of the things that broke me. That and the homeless thing, the no truth thing. Like I said, so I didn't finish that. Trump's he's did a Bloomberg interview, right? And I was driving all night, so then I woke up and I saw the first few things I saw on Twitter were from people saying, oh my God, Trump destroyed the guy from Bloomberg today by talking about tariffs. Like, I've never seen it. And it was like Stephen Miller, who's a fucking ghoul. And he's like, you've never seen a president with such a command of the financial institutions in the United States. And he fucking destroyed a guy from Bloomberg who's supposed to be. And I'm reading these things, right? And I don't know, because I just woke up. I know what I think, but I didn't see it. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, is there a chance? Is there some chance that this guy somehow went an hour and discussed a cogent financial plan without once bringing up Catherine Bach from the Dukes of Hazzard and what she wore at Studio 54? Is that a possible thing? Could that? I don't know. I don't know. So I read these, and then you scroll the fucking timeline, and of course it's filled with jokes and everybody doing their fucking take, because that's another thing. Everybody's got their fucking take. And this is another thing. This is something I felt guilty about doing a podcast. Everybody in the fucking world has their take, and I hate it. I think giving everybody in the world all of the world's information at their fingertips and then giving them a bullhorn to shout about it is a crusher for society in general. Because, there's cogent people that I enjoy. There's funny people that I like. But there's also fucking lunatics who used to be standing on a street corner on milk cartons shouting at passersby, but now they get to interject themselves into my fucking life. And it's everywhere. Like I may have done this on here already, but it was a joke I was doing on stage. I was like, I'm 57 years old now, and I never once thought I'd need to live in a world where I knew that the Orlando Magic stood with Israel, but here we are. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has to make a fucking noise about everything. Everyone has to have a take and an opinion and all of and I've tried to hide from it for years. I remember I've talked about it. I'm like, hey man, sometimes you just gotta have pork chops and mow your lawn. Like you can't dive into Gaza all fucking day because you'll lose your fucking mind. Because that's another thing that's not going to get fixed. I talked about homelessness. Fuck. And again, look, all respect. I'm a comedian, all right? And a nobody comedian at that, who's emerging from a 6-month fucking hellhole of hiding from everybody. Okay? So take everything I have with a fucking full-on grain of crazy, all right? Just fucking understand that. But Gaza is for me, I've said it out. It's a genocide. I think it's a genocide. I think Israel is doing terrible things, and it's an awful thing. Now, I will say this. Who started it? Okay. I was in Canada on October 7th of last year, and I was at my buddy Ken's house, and he was asleep, and I was up, and with the time difference, there it's 3 hours ahead of here. But I was on Twitter, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. on the East Coast, which is, I don't know what the fuck time that is in Israel. I think it's gunshot o'clock. So I'm fucking scrolling through Twitter, and I start to see the videos. Okay. And I see a video of a woman in a truck, and I'm not going to get into it, but it wasn't fucking pleasant. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because look, as I've mentioned, I'm over half a century old. I'm 15 years away from death. And every breath I've ever taken in this fucking world has been one where there was tension in the Middle East. I have never lived with a peaceful Middle East moment. It's people, whether they're lobbing missiles at one another or they're throwing rocks, people are fucking upset in that region. And I'm not going to pretend to know why. I from what I understand, it's something about Jesus. That could be wrong. I don't know. But I know, I know the 72 Olympics happened. I don't remember it because I was 5, but I've learned about it later. What was it? The 6-Day War or whatever the fuck. I don't even know how many days it was. It doesn't matter. You can call it the 6-Day War, but it's been the 57-year war as far as I'm concerned. It's been going on fucking forever. And I saw those videos were coming out and freaking like, because again, we're so used to the shit that happening. You're like, oh, whatever the fuck, a bomb went off at a coffee place, and you get numb to it. But at the same time, man, I'm watching these videos, and there's dudes on like hang gliders swooping in and doing, and it was bad. I mean, I saw, fucked up stuff, and it was happening, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was different. Okay. In my life, seeing the things that had gone on in the Middle East and hearing about them and all this bullshit, it's always been you crossed this line. No, you crossed this line. You fucking jerks. No, you are jerks. Whatever the fuck. But now I was watching what looked like a fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme movie of guys on hang gliders and a girl getting her fucking clothes torn off in a truck and bad shit happening. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? And I did what I always do in those situations when it's something that I can't possibly fathom. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck it is. I keep scrolling because I'm looking at it because I'm intensely interested in the news and I'm trying to learn about it. And then, you know what I did? Because I have this privilege, I went to bed. I didn't have to worry about anybody with a hang glider swooping into Canada and possibly raping me in a truck. I went and got some Z's. I was like, well, it's a long evening of watching what's going on in the middle. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to get some shut eye. Because you know what? I'm over here, man. And it's not funny, clearly, what's going on, but it's funny that I have the privilege to do that. So sure enough, I go to bed and I wake up and, I see Ken the next day, he comes in. I didn't really look. I had some stuff to do, so I didn't go on Twitter. Believe it or not, I was looking at fucking hockey, whatever. And Ken comes home and I said, hey man, have you seen what's going on in Israel? Like what the fuck happened last night? He's like, no. And I kind of explained what I saw. And it was so funny because I love him. Just a man. He's just a guy. You know what I mean? Just a fucking cool ass guy. And he just, he goes, well, they fucked up, meaning whoever was on the hang gliders. And I'm like, yeah, right? And he just goes, Israel's not going to let this fucking go. And I go, they've been doing this shit forever. He goes, yeah, but if it's what you're telling me, he goes, that's fucked. And Israel's not going to forget it. So sure enough, I go on Twitter and then I look and it just, now we're getting the news of what the fuck it really was. Basically, an invasion, is the only way to describe it, certainly. And, I read it and I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck's going to go on. And here we are a year later and, noted foreign policy expert Ken the cop from Canada, nailed it. They're not going to forget it. And they are, in my opinion, it's a genocide. I don't know. Like I said, who am I? Nobody. But at the same time, I can see the side where like, well, they started it. And then I can also see the side where like, well, they were under apartheid and so they were trying to fight the best that they could. And then, it's just this, there's no solution. There's no answers. There's no anything. It's just, like I said, with the homelessness problem, you know what I mean? You need money and compassion. With this, you can't speak to, these people were attacked, so they're fighting back. But at the same time, the people who were doing the attacking felt that they were being, held down or persecuted. And I don't have the intellectual capital to figure it out. I just don't. It looks fucking terrible. It's an awful thing, and there's no solution to it. And the funny thing, because now everybody in the world has a fucking fire hose of information and a bullhorn with which to comment on it, every day you're just getting fucking besieged. Now there's protesters on one side, protesters on another, and then the protesters are getting fucking, punched around here, and then nobody's getting arrested, and then professors are getting fired, but some professors aren't, and you're just seeing the tentacles of it extend. It's fucking crazy to see this fucking conflict turn into what it's become. And now there are people who this is their, because everybody in a political race, everyone's got their fucking issue. For a lot of people, it's abortion. And that looked like it was going to be a real momentum switch, this November, just like it was at the midterms the last time. But now, Gaza, there's so much, I follow progressive people and I see people who are upset and it's a genocide. And so they're like, this is my new favorite thing. They're all saying that they should vote Green Party, man. They should, they're going to teach Kamala Harris and the Democrats a lesson for funding this genocide. And, and I see that and I'm like, all right, well, I understand that. Clearly, everybody has their issue. And if that's the issue you're voting on, that's fine. But is there any way you can tell me the other guy winning is good for your side? Like, it's like this thing where they're like, yes, we've got to show the Democrats what they're doing is wrong. Yeah, and I completely agree. I wish they would call a ceasefire. I wish they would stop sending weapons. I wish they would stop sending money. There's no fucking doubt. But the entire time I've been alive on this earth, we have sent money and weapons to Israel. We have. And also, when I was a kid, I was taught that Israel was the they were the badasses, like, you know what I mean? Because of the raid on Entebbe, and like they took a lot of shit and they fought back and they never fucking got beat. And, you know, they live on a postage stamp and they're surrounded by enemies and they somehow fucking fought their way through it because they were fucking badass. So I, as a kid, I respected it. I was like, holy fuck, that's amazing. And the Mossad was fucking ridiculous and all these things. But then you get older, and like I said, I don't, and this is my own, I've turned into, I don't know what kind of wavy gravy fucking bullshit this is, and you can yell at me. There's no borders. There's no countries. Everybody is a person, and don't hurt people. And yes, I feel that way about Hezbollah and Iran and fucking Beirut and Lebanon and whoever the fuck else is doing shitty things and throwing backpacks into shopping centers with bombs. I get it. They suck. But when you see that people in hospitals and children are being fucking systematically wiped out, and because again, these kids, and again, you always hear this bullshit. They're like, they're taught when they're 2 years old to hate fucking Israel and Americans. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what's going to really make them hate Israel and Americans? I don't know, constantly lobbing bombs at their elementary school. You know, there's nothing worse than hopscotch when you go 2, 4, 6, 8 death. I mean, that's got to be fucking awful when you're out in the schoolyard, right? You're on. Look, I've been on a teeter-totter when the other person got off. When I was up in the sky, can you imagine being on a teeter-totter when somebody blows up and you're at the top of it? That's got to suck, man. You're gonna fall down. Of course, you're gonna find somebody to fucking blame. There's nothing more lonely than a child on a swing that's not being pushed because all of his fucking classmates were executed in a missile blast, in a drone raid. You know what I mean? Fuck. It's terrible, man. So I see these people who are talking about the election, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get your issue in Gaza and genocide and all of those. That's fine. Because I agree with you. But at the same time, these other guys are burning books. And they're literally trying to strip decades from our history and go back to 1950, if not 1939 in Europe. And I always have a problem with that too, because there's like this fucking rally today, whatever the fuck they did in the garden, and everybody's like, it's a Nazi rally. These guys are Nazis. And you know, Nazi, and I hate to say this, and you would never think this to be true, but right now it kind of is. The word Nazi has lost its power, which you would never, ever in a billion years would have said out loud. But it really kind of has, because once you start calling everybody a Nazi, or you start calling everybody Hitler, you know, because they used to call, some people would say it about Reagan because of the AIDS crisis. And some people said it about, you know, you'd hear shitty, again, when Hillary said everybody was a fucking deplorable and everybody got also fucking, they lost their minds. And Trump is Hitler, this guy's Hitler, everybody else is fucking Hitler. It's just, and like I've said before, there's always got to be a Hitler. Even in Ukraine and Russia, you know, Russia is just like, oh my gosh, there's all these Nazis in Ukraine, and Ukraine's like, did you see all the fucking Nazis in Russia? It's through all of the movies that we've ever seen, terrorists or other races or other ethnicities or nationalities being portrayed as the enemies. The Nazis have always held their foothold. Like we've ebbed and flowed. We've had Arabs be the violent people for a while, and then they kind of stopped at that because it looked shitty. And then we've got the Russians; they're bad guys. All these people, they've kind of come and gone. But the Nazi was always the tried and true guy you could go to and go, yeah, that's a bad guy. And then you watch this fucking rally where they're saying all this crazy shit, and they want to ban, you know, they're talking about banning birth control with Project 2025. They're talking about coming after interracial marriage, like all these different things, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? And then like I said, when they start lobbing the word Nazi around everybody, you kind of instinctually, you just go, whatever the fuck, like you tune it out. You know, like it's just a thing where you're like, I can't, it's like genocide. So many people talking about genocide that it almost instinctually makes you go, look, it couldn't possibly be a genocide. But when you look at the numbers and you see the things that are happening, you're like, well, you know, I don't know, man. We read some stuff in school about what a genocide was. And this is, if this isn't a genocide, it's genocide adjacent. It's possibly genocide light. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, it's like genocide zero sugar. You know what I mean? I mean, fuck me. Don't fucking tell me that this is this and that it's not. And it's because it's this other thing, whatever the fuck. I know it's confusing. But it just continues. And so people are making that their issue to vote on. And I'm like, but these other guys, like I said, they're burning books and they're taking away women's rights and they're taking away the rights for black people and they're taking in their, abortion and all these things. And they're going to put guys in the Supreme Court who are going to reverse all this shit. They're going to ban, supposedly they're coming after the FDA. And again, I will tell you this. These are things that I've read that are like right out of Project 2025. Now, I'm not reading Project 2025 because you know what? Fuck that. What the fuck am I going to do? I'm going to be dead in 10 years and I'm a white guy. They're not going to hurt me anyway. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll put me in an Irish camp. That'll be great. It'll be like below deck at the Titanic. I'll just be doing a fucking dance. But sure enough, man, all of this shit where they're like, oh, it's this, it's that, and they're going to take these people and do these different things and this Project 2025. I read the stuff that they're going to do and I'm like, it's crazy. Like, and then the religious bullshit aspect of it, which I don't fucking get. And all these people have fucking thrown themselves at the feet of a guy who wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire. And it just, like I said, when I read these things about 2025, these people are Nazis and this is what they plan on doing. Well, that gets back to me talking about there's no truth. When you say Nazi a billion times, it takes the fucking shine off of it. You know what I mean? You forget 6 million people and you forget the train ride and you forget fucking Kristallnacht and all those fucking things because you're comparing them to shit that's going on here, Tiki Torch guys and all that. And you're just like, oh, it couldn't possibly be the same. But then you look at it and you read about it. And I'm sure the people in Germany didn't realize that they were frogs in a pot of water either. You know what I mean? It's a crazy time. And this gets back to no truth. I can't. They'll say these things, right? And they'll say this is in Project 2025 and they're coming for you. And all these people use hyperbole too, which is a drag. Like today, I was reading somebody recapping the rally and they're like, they're saying Nazi things and this is a Nazi thing. But the things that they were saying to me, I'm like, those aren't Nazi things. They're just shitty things to say. You're being mean to people. And you're hurting whatever your cause is by labeling these guys to be the most dangerous motherfuckers we've ever heard of just because they told stupid jokes. But also I recognize the danger in ignoring all of the signs that we're creeping toward some sort of fascism or what it is. But then, like I said, I don't believe anything I see on the internet. Like people will send me clips and they'll say, oh my God, did you read this? Or my God, can you believe he said that? And like I said, when it's Trump, I always go, yes, I can. Because he's a terrible fucking guy. He's an empty shell. He's a fucking narcissist with a fucking spray tan who's just out there. I mean, dude, again, I'm not going to tax tips, but then also I'm going to tax China 4,000%, but then I'm not going to tax anybody. He'll say anything at this fucking point. And will all politicians do that? Possibly. You know what I mean? I don't know. And this is what I'm saying. I'm exhausted. And so I had to pull away from stuff. Like I couldn't read it. So that's Twitter. That's just even Twitter with the fucking news where there's no truth. Nothing is true. I mean, there's some stuff that's true, but it's mixed in with 1,000 things. Oh, the Bloomberg thing. I never even fucking finished that. So sure enough, man, everybody was like going on and on about he's this or he fucking destroyed him. And then I read, I went and read some stuff about it. Like I went to the Washington Post and the New York Times, and then I looked at some other sources. And I actually watched clips because I had been told that he had destroyed the guy. And he's doing the dog eating bit again. And then when the dude like asks him a question about, it's really kind of funny. He's asking him about like, sales tax, some shit. Who the fuck knows? IRAs. And he goes off on the dog eating bullshit. And then the guy just goes, sir, the question was about IRAs. Because it's the weave, man. He brings in the weave and he tries... And I'm reading, and so in watching the clips, I went, oh, he just did the same dumb fuckery that he always does, that same shit. So who are these people invested in telling me that it was the most devastating takedown of a financial expert by a presidential candidate? And it's along the lines of like when they, I'm sure you've heard like when Kim Jong-un, when they're like, oh, he had 4 holes in one and 5 shots or whatever the fuck, and you're like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. We laugh at it there. But then these people here, and it's everybody. It's like these people who keep telling me that Kamala Harris is like, oh my God, an unbelievable breath of fresh air. What an amazing candidate. And I'm like, is she though? Is she, or is she the one who was there when fucko fell down the stairs? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. And there is, I will tell you this, clearly I know who you have to vote for. All right. But I will tell you this, after the debate, which I never finished that. After the debate, well, I'll tell you this. All right, let's just go into that. So Pat and I, we talked to Pilar. She's going to watch the debate. And I'm like, I can't believe you're watching the fucking debate. And Pat's like, well, I would watch it if I was home. And I'm like, why? We already know. Like, I mean, it's going to be fucking horrible. Yeah, I don't want to hear either of these guys or whatever, because that's me. I'm poisoned. I'm just toxically poisoned from all of it. And so we went to go see Sebastian Bach. And Pilar watched it at home. So we get in the car and we stop at Coffee Bean. And we get back in the car and he turns on the debate on the radio. And I go, you're really going to, because it was like an hour and 15-minute drive. I'm like, you're really going to listen to this on the radio? He goes, well, I want to hear some of it. I got to hear it. You got to hear what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, but you can find out later. And he's like, well, no, let's just give it like 10 minutes. So he turns it on and we're driving. And Biden gives he just starts talking about abortion. And then he stops himself and you hear like papers shuffling. And then you hear like a as the wind blows through both fucking ears. And we're listening on radio. Okay. And we don't even get to see the stare and the fact that he looks like an extra from fucking Night of the Living Dead. You know what I mean? It's just, we just get to hear the words and the verbiage and the sounds, and we're listening to it. Starts talking about abortion, stops himself, goes, oh, what I meant to say. And then whatever the fuck, he just stammers, and fucking Pat turns the radio off. And he looks at me and he just goes, oh my God. And I go, that was fucking awful. And he goes, yep, Jesus Christ. So then we, of course, listened to some Skid Row, listened to some Monkey Business, got in the fucking mood for Sebastian Bach. And we get to the fucking theater and we park, we go inside, and we're sitting in the lobby and we're waiting because it's a standing room only gig. So I'm old, and so I'd much rather sit down to wait for the show to begin. So we go upstairs and we sit on these benches, and we're both kind of scrolling our phones. He's texting, and I'm scrolling Twitter. and I see this person, what they wrote, and I was like, oh, Jesus. And I go, hey. And he goes, what? And I go, listen to this. And someone said, and this is like someone in the tank for the Democrats. And this guy writes, rough night for Biden so far. He had a lot of momentum with a great answer on abortion early in the debate, but he's kind of lost his way here as we've kept going, or something like that. Like, it's that. And I read it out loud, and Pat looks at me and he goes, oh no. And I go, yeah, no fucking kidding. He goes, that was the good part. The thing we heard that made us both go, oh, this is fucking awful, and turn the radio off, this guy was nailing as the good part of the debate. And I'm like, because this is before we knew what was really happening. Like, we didn't see it clearly. And then by the time, and his wife is texting him and she's like, this is a disaster. This is a fucking disaster. I don't know what they're going to do. And then by the time we got to her house, we got back to the house, she goes to bed early and she was awake. She's like, I don't know what to think. And I go, well, he's not, and I even said, I go, he's not quitting. I go, he can't, it's weak. I go, they'll never let him quit because it looks weak. And it's just unprecedented. There's no way they can fucking do it. And we all know what fucking happened. Sure enough, he wound up bailing. And then, look, she swooped in, and, she's better than him. Certainly in appearance, and look, she's hot. We all know this, and I shouldn't judge her by that, but I'm not judging her by that, and I won't vote for her because of that. But at the same time, I think she's hot. But then everybody, because again, one of the reasons too, I said, look, I go, he can't quit because it looks weak. I go, but also she's never received a fucking vote. I go, she's never, she didn't run for anything, and even when she ran, she quit like after one primary or whatever the fuck it was. And then sure enough, it went the way of where they selected her. And then all the money came in, and then there was all this excitement. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess we're getting on board with this person. But I will say this. I do understand people who are like, hey man, nobody ever voted for this chick, this woman, I apologize. And so I kind of understand that. But at the same time, I was willing to vote for a human scarecrow over this other fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't, as bad as he was at that debate, if he would have stayed in, truthfully, in California, I would have written somebody else in as president, because my vote here, it doesn't matter. They could run. I could write in fucking Peter Potamus, and he would have as much chance of winning as fucking Trump or Jill Stein. So you could make that choice here. You know what I mean? In other places, it was this imperative thing where you got to set up a firewall against these assholes with their fucking jackboots and whatever the fuck. Now, see, I said jackboots, and you're like, oh, he thinks they're Nazis. No, I'm not. I'm making a joke. But I'll tell you what, man. I understood people who were like, why is this? So we're just supposed to go along with this now? And so I understand trepidation. What I don't understand is the people who immediately, because again, this is always suspicious. People are like, she's the greatest and the funniest and the best and the worst. And oh my God, she's unbelievable. We got to vote. And that thing where they just get invested in hitting you with an avalanche of fucking superlatives for somebody who you might not really know. You know what I mean? Because she was the vice president. I mean, you fucking watch movies about presidents, like the movie Dave. Ben Kingsley is his vice president, and he comes back from Africa with like a war mask and a spear, because that's what the vice president does. He goes and visits fucking non-consequential countries, and he goes to fucking funerals for foreign dignitaries. That's it. And he waits his turn, and then eventually he gets to run for president. That's the way it used to be anyway. But now we got a game show host running for the second fucking time, or the third time. Jesus fucking Christ. What a mess. What a mess that is. The fact that it's as close is fucking stupid. I don't get it. And I know you're just like, well, you're contradicting yourself. You said that you understand why people don't know. No, I understand why you would be like, boy, this chick, I don't get it. It's kind of weird that all of a sudden she's just the candidate, but okay. But at the same time, I would have voted for a picture of her. I don't fucking care. You see what's coming down the pike if you don't. And I understand there's people like, well, the Democrats have funded a genocide. Tell me any way at all. The other guy's going to fund genocide twice, and he's also going to steal your books and burn them in your yard. And then round people up and put them into camps. And I know there are people who like him who are going to be like, no, you don't understand. Well, no, I do understand. I didn't read all of Project 2025, but I've read certain segments of it, and I've seen the shit that they're promising to fucking do, because it's this weird toxic brew between far right politicians and Christian fucking idiots. And look, I'm not saying all Christians are idiots, because again, I get that fucking shit all the time. Oh man, you're fucking so anti-religion. You say the Christians are all idiots. No, I don't. But I'll tell you that if you're a Christian and you love God and you love the Bible and you want to live by that and you want to take care of people and help them out, that's cool. I got no issue with that. But if you're a Christian who lives by the Bible and wants to tell other people they need to do what you fucking say, then you know who you are. You're the fucking Taliban. Get the fuck off my dick. If you're a Christian and you show up at a woman's house with a Bible and a hanger, fuck you, man. It's not, you can choose whatever you want to do with your life. You can live your religion, because that's the whole, you know what? That's, to quote our good friend Joe Biden, that's America, Jack. You can fucking do whatever you want. That's the whole point. Bill of Rights, fucking Declaration of Independence, don't tread on me, a snake and a flag and all that other bullshit. So go ahead, take your Bible, mow your lawn, and tell your kids that they can't fucking stay out past midnight and nobody gets fingered. That's fine. But don't tell anybody else that they can't fucking do it, because it hasn't. I've talked about this since I was fucking 15 years old, when I heard that like Christians were against abortion, and they were like, well, yeah, but Jesus says it's bad. And I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. So you believe that? Well, yeah, but so I have to tell everybody else that Jesus says it's bad, and so they can't do it. No, that's not the way it works here. It's never worked that way here. Maybe it did in the 40s and 50s. I don't fucking know. But in my lifetime, since I've been around, you don't get to fucking show up at people's house. And it didn't stop people from doing it and standing in front of abortion clinics and all the other bullshit. But when you start telling people, hey, man, you got to do what we say because this book says so. Well, fuck you. Like I said, how is that different from the fucking Taliban or the Saudi people that you hate because they don't let women drive or whatever? They always pull that chestnut out. They wouldn't let women drive over there. Dude, my entire life there's been jokes about, oh, these fucking women drivers, huh? You know what I mean? Like, if these motherfuckers could ban women from driving here, they would do it. They want to keep them from voting. They want to keep women from doing anything except, they want their feet on the kitchen floor and they want their ankles in the air. That's all they fucking want. They want their feet in stirrups squeezing out fucking babies. And I will tell you this, and again, look, please recognize, again, comedian who's emerged from a 6-month vow of silence to vomit his opinions all over you when he said he fucking wouldn't. But women have it's just so fucking devastating, man. I can't imagine the feeling of knowing that they might take shit away from you that honestly you just got. You know what I mean? Abortion's not that old. It's 50 years old. They're going to take that away. The birth control. And so just recently, because of the, for lack of a better word, technocrats, the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musks of the world, and this bullshit about birth rate, where they're talking about, the birth rate is constantly falling. We're gonna, our country's it's devastated if the birth rate falls. Well, what you mean is, you need more white people. That's what you mean. Like, because you're not worried about the Hispanic birth rate, and you're not worried about the black people birth rate. You're worried about white people's birth rate because the Great Replacement theory and all that other bullshit. But when they say stuff like, you've got to have more babies for this country. You need birth rate to go up. It's a way to keep it. All they mean is, hey, we need more people to work in our factories. And I just came to that realization, like, over the past year and a half. J.D. Vance was another one who really made me see it, where, this bullshit where he won't drop the fucking childless thing. Not to trust women who don't have children and all this shit. And it's like, that's some funky ass fucking dystopian Logan's Run novel bullshit. Like, I don't know where because I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's in the Bible. Hey, I know there's be fruitful and multiply, but I don't know if they're like, or else, you know what I mean? I haven't read the Bible, so I don't know if that's the tag on it. It might be. And look, I assume there's a ton of shit in the Bible that ends with or else, you know what I mean? All of it. But to be saying that you're concerned about birth rate and women need to be having babies, and then trying to invent these weird tax things, and then pretending like China's your enemy when China won't let people have, like, what is it, multiple girls. And again, I'm referring some shit I barely heard, so please don't think I'm pretending to be an expert on China. But I remember birth rate was a big deal over there, and there was a thing, and I don't know what's true and what's not. Like, they would kill a daughter or something like that, or they force their feet into shoot. Like, I conflate the two things. Like, hey man, did you know that they kill like extra daughters in China? And also, your daughter has to put her feet in shoes that are too small for herself, so sometimes they have goat hooves. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's true and what isn't, but I know, like, I don't know if that's real shit or something I saw in the movie The Witch. You know what I mean? With fucking Black Frank or whatever the fuck his name was. I have no clue, but they're just bits and pieces of information that are stuck in my head like jagged glass, and I'm throwing them at you like throwing stars. What a fucking jerk. But they just want fucking, they can't have slaves. So they have to convince the populace that college is bad. And so these people will just work. They just want you to work. They don't give a fuck about you. None of them. And Trump's basically a useful idiot for Musk and Thiel and all these other fucking guys with all the money and shit like that. And I know that makes me sound like Conspiracy Wilson, and I don't want to be. That's why I had to divorce myself from it. Because you see these Q idiots and all the bullshit that they believe, and they're still around, which is fucking crazy to me. I mean, none of their shit has ever come true. None of the shit has ever come true for the Q people. There's nobody fucking kids in a pizza place. There's no shooting stars that are come down and then gonna land on the pyramid and all of a sudden illuminate Egypt. None of that shit's happening. All right. But they'll always move the goalposts. You know what? I'll tell you what, July 14th, everybody, the storm's coming. July 14th. Watch out for it. And then, July 14th, everybody has coleslaw in a park. And then, oh man, July 16th, you're not going to believe this. Holy fuck. We heard it. Storm coming. Lock them down. Batten down the fucking hatches. Where we go one, we go all. It's fucking coming. And then the 16th goes by, and then you don't hear from them for a while because they realize twice they've been wrong in a week. And then all of a sudden they're like, out of nowhere, it'd be like, breaking news, August 8th. Oh my God, a storm is coming. Can you believe it? We're cleaning the deep state. Trump's helping us in fucking swamps and bullshit and nonsense and dragons and who the fuck cares and adrenochrome. And everybody's like, yeah, man. And then August 8th comes and goes, and then they're just like, oh, it's happening in the deep state. They're monkeying with it. And people keep coming back. They keep coming back for spoonfuls of shit pushed all the way into their mouth, back into their, and so deep it hits their fucking uvula, and they swallow it, and they fucking come back for more because they don't want to believe that their lives are out of their control. You know what I mean? They want to think that there's all these mysteries and all this bullshit that explains why they can't stop working at the fucking oil place. or why they went to college and they disagree with the book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just maligning the normal worker. I'm saying anybody who believes that shit is trying to find some sort of control because they didn't get the life they wanted, or they're unhappy, or they just found themselves tricked, or they were susceptible, or maybe they're just a fucking soft head. I don't know. But if you believe that conspiracy shit, and look, I'm not saying that shit doesn't exist. Every you know, every 9 weeks there's a new sex cult that pops up that's branding people on their thigh, and you're like, how the fuck did these people fall into this? And it's always the same thing. Like, the leader of the cult gets to fuck everybody's wife. And for some fucking reason, there's like 1,000 people in this cult. And it's like they only eat canned soup, and the guy gets to fuck all their wives. And they have to build him a compound, and they have to erect a fucking statue in his honor. Meanwhile, he's just covered in pussy juice. That's literally, this guy's drowning in illegal pussy because it's married to somebody else, or they imported it, or it's a kid, or whatever the fuck. And he convinces people to build him a fucking statue. You know why? Because of the weave. That guy's got the real weave. Fuck your weave where I'm telling you about immigrants and dogs. I'm bringing a real weave where I get to fuck your wife and you build me a statue. That's the way to go. Holy shit. What a fucking mess, man. And these people swallow it all the time. And look, on the other side too, man. That's what I'm saying about these people who are talking about how Kamala, like she's fucking Lincoln. It's like, dude, she's the alternative. When it first happened, I don't know anything about Photoshop. I don't know how to do it. And, there was the big I'm with her with Hillary. I'm with her. And then when Kamala did it, like the first day they put out a picture of the day they announced that she was the candidate. There was a picture they put out, and it was like, I'm with her, and everybody just shared it. And I asked Kyle, I go, can you change this to she's not him? And Kyle, who's Pat's nephew, he changed it. He photoshopped it to where it said she's not him. And I think I put that on Facebook. And I put it on Twitter because it's just because that's the truth. You know what I mean? I mean, I know Beyonce is telling me that Kamala's the best. We've talked about this a million times. It's like when people are like, yeah, man, Beyonce. And like, there's a fucking account that keeps getting retweeted into my Twitter feed. Like, I don't follow them, but it's called Kamala's Wins. And like, they're like, it'll say like, huge news. Ariana Grande just announced that she's voting for Kamala. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Who the fuck cares? And maybe young people do. I don't know. Maybe that's their deal. And maybe I'd feel different about it if David Lee Roth came out and said that he was voting for somebody. I'd like to think I wouldn't, but who the fuck knows? I mean, you shouldn't be voting for somebody because Ariana Grande is voting for them, just like you shouldn't be voting for them because fucking Kevin Sorbo is voting for them. You should vote for them because A, they want to turn women into slaves, or B, they would like women to be able to abort babies, whatever the fuck. And it's not that simple, and I get it, and don't fucking yell at me, but you know what I'm talking about. Don't make the celebrity choice the be all and end all of your fucking existence. But there's so many people online, and again, I have to see them because they have the fire hose. They've got the bullhorn. They just fucking let me have it, and I have to see it. And look, I know you're like, you should pull yourself away from it. You're right. I should. That's what I've been trying to do, and it's very difficult for me because I am an information junkie who is, for his whole life, I liked being first. I liked knowing things. I liked knowing them before anybody else. It's a weird pathology of mine. I don't know if it's something to do with my upbringing where I was poor and I didn't have anything but information. I can't tell you. I don't have an idea of why it is. Information is like a drug for me. And so Twitter is like heroin. And now they're stepping on this heroin 10 or 15 times where I'm fucking shooting it and nothing's fucking happening. And it's giving me bad fucking vibes the whole fucking time. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. And I'm trying to extricate myself. I pulled myself away from Facebook. Like I mentioned, there's a difference between Twitter and Facebook. Twitter is news and people, like I said, this, like that Kamala's Wins when they're just like, breaking news. Oh, you know what? Retweet to share if you think Trump's a Nazi. Get the fuck out of here, man. But people do it. Thousands of people do it. And another thing too is thousands of people say the same shit different ways. And they all think they're brilliant. And then there'll be people who will say they're brilliant. You know what I mean? They'll just like, I never thought of it that way. Really? We all have. We've all thought of this for the last 30 years. but because this person said it a different way, or you're young and you don't fucking understand, this has been an idea that has been around fucking forever, but for some reason you're like, this person's now a genius to you. It's like, this is going to be a weird analogy, but it works. There was a new Alien movie that came out. It was called Alien Romulus. It was out over the summer. Did you see it? I'm going to spoil some stuff. Not badly, but I'm going to spoil some stuff. I went and saw it, and I was with Pat. And first of all, in the first 15 minutes, first 20 minutes, you meet the cast. There's a woman, and she's got like a robot guy, and then they go meet a ship full of people, and they're trying to go to they're going to go loot the Nostromo. All right, which this movie takes place in the Alien canon after Alien, but before Aliens, I believe. So you have to look at it in that context. It's after Alien, but it's before Aliens. Okay, I believe, if that's the case. But you know, the alien in this movie, it's the same shit. Like, it's the same. Oh no, he grabbed her face. Oh no, it's in her belly. Oh no, it burst out. Oh no, and again, I'm old. So I saw this shit in 1979, and it was fucking terrifying. You know what I mean? When the fucking little guy came out of John Hurt, and he fucking shoots across the kitchen table, and Yaphet Kotto's there, and for some reason they do a weird scream from the lady going, "Oh God!" like twice in a row. And Sigourney Weaver, and then Aliens is, quite frankly, in my opinion, still to this day, top 5 action films of all time, if not top 2, with Terminator 2. It's Aliens is fucking a miracle. It's amazing. But this new one, and I will tell you this too, by the way, in this new Alien, you hate everybody because it's a crew of teenagers. It's a crew of like 20-year-olds. And for some reason, 3 of them are English. So it's like, hey, bruv, let's go see the alien, right? It's space. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't fucking I hate this guy. And it's the same shit. Like, she has a robot guy or an AI, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And this guy doesn't trust the alien, you know, and the AI because it killed his mom at a fucking, you know, and you're just like, this is the same shit. Ripley didn't trust the alien because of this, and didn't trust Bishop, whatever the fuck, dude. And it's exhausting. You watch it and you're like, this is fucking stupid. And then even worse, this is another thing. Quit telling me that the alien is the ultimate weapon and the ultimate life form. Quit telling me that the alien is this perfect life form, because every time I watch it, every new alien movie I see, the humans fool the alien with some Bugs Bunny painting a tunnel on a wall bullshit, and they get away from the perfect weapon, the perfect specimen that you're all trying to hunt down, and you can't, because for some reason, teenagers trick it into going to a cryo chamber. You know, there's always some fucking horseshit, and you're like, this makes no fucking sense to me. I don't know why it's happening, but it happened. And there were parts in this movie where I looked at Pat, and we laughed. I was like, dude, and he'd just shake his head, and we'd laugh. But the way it works as an analogy is because if you go look at the scores for Alien Romulus, if you look at reviews via Twitter or TikTok or, you know, Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, it was a success and people really liked it. And they said stuff like a taut thriller. And, oh my gosh, the scares, and oh, you didn't see this. And it's the same shit we've all seen before, but because these people are young, they didn't see it in 1979, so it's new to them. It's new to get the face hugger. It's new to have the pregnancy. It's new. All this shit is new for them, so they're living it for the first time. So that's that, you know, they're scared or whatever the fuck they are, and they're like, "Yay, this is amazing." And I'm like, "This is the same shit I've fucking seen." And there's no reason for me to be involved in it anymore. Why am I doing this to myself? It's just crazy. But for some reason, people, you know, like I said, they're like a taut thriller. And there's a scene. All right, fuck it, I'm spoiling it. There's a fucking scene in Alien Romulus that they stole directly from Quiet Place. This is because again, we've been told about these aliens, right? They're the perfect weapon. They're fucking amazing. And there's no escape. They're going to murder you. The second they see you, they open their jaw, and then the little jaw comes out, and it goes in your face, and you're fucking finished. It's going to take your throat out. You're fucking done. Unless you have a giant robot suit and you can fight it MMA style, whatever the fuck. So there's a scene where they're running on this ship, and it's the AI and a guy and a girl, and they're going to run. There's a room, and they can't. It's filled with, you know, the aliens that climb on your face, not the big aliens who are grown up, who are grown up and they're grown up and they're grown up. You know, those big ass aliens who are fucking scary. Well, what about when they're little spiders? You know what I mean? And they climb on your face and then they implant the shit in your mouth. You know, those guys, I forget what they're the pre-aliens, whatever the fuck. They're the face huggers. You know what I'm talking about. Well, they have to go through a fucking room filled with face huggers because this fucking spaceship has, it's trying to bring samples back to Earth. Again, please remember, this isn't aliens. This is still between alien and aliens when they're trying to get the weapons. So, look, man, you're not getting through this room. There's got to be 15 facehuggers at the very least, all right, in this room. And the door is closed, so you're safe because they're out there. They're in the other room. But then, I mean, we have been taught forever the perfect weapon. Fucking monstrous. You don't even look. If you see the aliens, it's finished for the human race. Don't bring them back to Earth because that's the whole point. Is nobody wants to bring it back to Earth because they're going to kill all of us. But then for some reason they're always able to beat them with some, hey, look over there, and the alien does, and they fucking tiptoe away. Well, sure, but almost quite literally, they're sitting there outside this room, and they've got to get to the other side of the ship, and they see the facehuggers. They're like, it's just like an ant farm. There's so many of them in there, and I've watched 4 of these movies, 5 maybe at this point. I've never seen I never saw the Fassbender. I never saw those. I can't remember the fucking name of it now. Regardless, but we know the alien rules now. You know what I mean? They jump on you, they go in your belly, and then they fucking cocoon you, and a fucking monster comes out. All that shit. Well, all of a sudden they're outside this room, and there's a bunch of facehuggers running around, and the fucking dude, the AI guy, out of nowhere, he just goes, you know what? They react to heat and sound. So here's the deal. I'm going to turn the room up to 98.6 degrees. So then when we walk through the room, they won't know you're in it because your body temperature will match the temperature of the room. Oh, and also, don't make a sound because if they hear you, they'll come get you. So there's your Quiet Place bullshit knockoff that they immediately steal. But this bullshit about turning up the temperature and all of a sudden now the teenage alien or AI guy knows somehow. And at the time he's infected with another AI. It's a long story. Go ahead and watch the movie if you must, but I'm telling you not to. But sure enough, he's like, yeah, so we'll turn the room up real high. And at the same time, we'll guys, don't make a sound. Clearly be quiet. So they open the door when it's 98.6 and they walk in, and now it's like totally silent, and they've got to tiptoe through. All right, don't make any sounds. And the one dude starts to sweat, but you can't sweat because if you get hotter than the room. Again, the explanation is just fucking. I'm sure it's very simple, but in the moment I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? So they tiptoe through the room. They're walking through, and again, what are the 2 rules here? You need to match the temperature of the room with your body temperature. And then 2, be as quiet as you possibly can. Don't make any sounds because they will absolutely react to any sound you make. Even if you step on crunchy glass, anything. So they get halfway through the room. They're tiptoeing. It's super quiet. The facehuggers are walking around and they're just ominous enough because they're always you can see them out of the corner of your eye. They're in the screen, whatever. And, out of nowhere, this fucking guy's walkie-talkie goes off because there's another person across the ship that they're trying to get to who is now in a fight with an alien, like a grown alien, not a facehugger. So it's like, over, you gotta help me. And the fucking guy grabs his walkie-talkie radio and he goes to talking to him and he's trying to, and the other 2 look. And then here's my favorite part. We're told stay as quiet as you can. Don't make any noises at all. Because the fucking facehuggers are they'll fucking lose their minds. Well, this fucking radio goes off for like 15 seconds. And he's just kind of like, it's almost like if a guy, like he's cheating on his girl and his girl calls, he's like, I can't talk right now. He's trying to like whisper it. I can't talk. And she's talking loud because she's screaming because she's fighting a fucking alien. So she's coming over the fucking radio. It's like, oh my God, there's an alien. And he's like, can't talk, a lot of aliens. And then the facehuggers like all kind of stop, like, because they realize apparently that there's a walkie-talkie in their midst, and they zoom in on the AI guy, and he just looks at them and he goes, run. And then they book. The 3 of them just fucking, all the pretense of the temperature and the sound, all that shit's gone. Now it's run. Run. Try to escape the fucking 20 or so alien spiders who want to implant their fucking egg in your mouth by grabbing your face and hugging it. But run away from them. These fucking 6-legged fucking crazy monsters. And, dear listener, let me tell you this. They did. They ran and they outran the perfect weapon who everybody keeps trying to bring to Earth because it will lead to whatever the fuck they want it to lead to. These guys were able to outsmart it and run away, and they escape. They run away to the point where, like, in my brain, I'm like, why didn't you just fucking run away? The first time, this temperature bullshit wasted 40 minutes of getting the room up to fucking temp. It's like, it's like they're making pizza rolls. Hey, we gotta wait for the room to preheat before we throw in these pizza rolls so to distract these face huggers. I mean, it is such horseshit. It is so bad. And then I read, like, on Rotten Tomatoes, like, I think it's got like a 7.5, or like all these people are like, yeah, man, it's fucking scared the shit. I'm like, dude, And I want to love things. I've told you this. I want to love things. But I find myself now, all right, look, I've seen a million movies since I talked to you. We'll get to them later. But it's this thing where I saw the alien Romulus, and I'm just like, I'm done with this universe. Like, I can't with this anymore. Like, I remember I did that with Terminator. I told you guys. Like, there was like Terminator Salvation. Now there's a Terminator anime fucking nonsense. And I said to you before, like 8 years ago, maybe more, I said, I don't understand the Terminator universe. I don't, because again, it's robots and they're furious and they want to kill humans. And then to what end? So there's a war and you kill all the humans, and then you sit on your robot perch and you tell fucking robot stories about the robot war. What the fuck? What are you planning on doing? I don't, it makes no sense when you really break it down, because again, you watch it and you just think about action. But if you break down Terminator canon, like I said, robots are going to have a robot party and have some robot drinks and talk about the robot humans they killed. It's fucking stupid. And so I was done. I'm like, I'm out. I can't. And now I've reached that with Alien, because when I heard there was a new Alien, I was like, all right, well, I can't wait to see the spin. Well, the spin is to cast it full of young people, so young people identify with it and they like it, and then to steal from A Quiet Place and other bullshit. And I'm like, dude, whatever, man. But my point, as an analogy, I'm telling you it works, because there's all these young people on Twitter who keep making the same joke or stating the same point. Like, the Palestinian people really need to be helped, and, Israel's really, and these are sentiments, that have been spoken forever. You know what I mean? But young people, they think they've just discovered them. I should apologize. They've just discovered them for the first time. So they think that they're new, and they endlessly repeat them. And look, I recognize this is serious get off my lawn bullshit. There's no doubt. I'm an old person. But when I read these, it's even like people making jokes or punchlines, and it's the same joke or punchline, and it's something somebody I saw on stage 15 years ago. And in your brain, you're just like, man, you guys are fucking scrambled. This is the same shit I've heard a million times. And that's why I say when I'm like, I'm my uncles. Mad at politicians. Don't believe anything. These guys all lie. Out with the bums. You know what I mean? And I have a touch of that, but then I also have, I'm assuming it's a hippie way. I don't even know how you describe it, but I just think you should help people. You shouldn't hurt anybody. You shouldn't be, and look, that, like I said, that goes for everybody. I'm not picking a side when I say don't hurt anybody. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any controversial, or any controversy in the statement, hey man, do no harm to fellow human beings, especially because it's, you're killing, it's like, I don't know. Some of you may not believe in global warming. That's fine. I think all of the science is proving that we are absolutely killing this planet. And look, it's got at least another 100 years, probably maybe another 200 years. Who the fuck knows? Will it be inhabitable? I don't know, because I'll tell you what, I've read recently, I read some stories about Iraq. I might have even told you this. I don't know how recently it was I read it. Like in Iraq, it's like 123 degrees. And like, they don't do anything during the day. And also, it's not like Iraq is, fucking Dubai. They don't have electricity in a lot of places. And it's just a different, I don't want to malign people, but it's just, first of all, it's a war-torn area. So it's not like they have a lot of phone lines in Iraq or fucking outlets in their house. So all these people are using swamp coolers from what I read. And, the swamp cooler is just water-based. And if you're using hot water for it, all you're generating is like steam, really, in these 125 degree temperatures. And another thing is, because it's so war-torn in that area, in that region, they have no vegetation. Like, all their trees were burned with fucking missiles and napalm and whatever the fuck else. You know what I mean? So it's not like they can just go get a coconut and lounge under a palm tree. Like, I mean, they got nothing there but sand and cardboard half the fucking time and swamp coolers. And it's devastating to read because, look, Saddam Hussein was a fucking dick and his kids were fucking awful. But there's like a fucking ton of babies in Iraq who have blistered lips because they don't have any water and they can't stay cool. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man, isn't there a way to help them? And it's like, well, no, there isn't, as long as, the Taliban or whatever the fuck these sanctions. I don't even know. I don't know. Because this is the thing. I don't have any answers. As I've mentioned before, comedian climbing out of fucking 6-month grave to bring you all this bullshit that he fucking doesn't. I can't. I wouldn't even say that I'm speaking intelligently on it. Intelligently, not intelligently. There's no hook there in the middle. These are just opinions. It's just how I feel. And is that too much for you? Maybe. I don't fucking know. Because I know some of you are like, yeah, cool, I'm glad you're back talking. And some of you are like, shut up. We liked you better when you weren't fucking talking. You were on the couch fucking hiding. And then some of you are like, hey man, what about Tiger Eyes? Tiger Eyes are a caramel, and it's a caramel with cream in the middle. I didn't explain this. But then I went to a drive-in, the Bel Air Drive-In, which was in Romeoville, and we went and saw Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, which is a movie you can Google, and I don't know if it's good because I was fucking 9. But I did know this. Every car that pulled in got a bag of those caramels with the white cream in the middle. And they called them Tiger Eyes. Every car gets a bag of Tiger Eyes when we're watching Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. So my whole life, those have now been Tiger Eyes. And it's like, I will tell you this, in Los Angeles, you can buy bacon wrapped hot dogs on the street. Now, I know those are a Sonoran hot dog. I know what that is. But my whole life, I've called them death dogs. Because you buy them after a concert, you buy them wherever, after a game. There's people with these Mexican people with push carts, and they're selling the hot dogs with bacon and mayonnaise and mustard and grilled peppers, and it's fucking amazing. But I knew it as a death dog because essentially you're just eating a heart blockage. That's all you're fucking doing. You're just choking down a heart blockage. But I just found out that a lot of people call them danger dogs. And I like danger dogs. I still think death dogs is better, but I like danger dogs. But when we talk about the Tiger Eyes, I know people call them bullseyes, which is fine, but I, being of sound mind and body, quote unquote, I like calling them Tiger Eyes because fucking 8-year-old me got a bag of them at the drive-in and loved it. And then later on, I will tell you this, someone got the smart idea of compressing them into a long tube-like shape. So normally it was a small piece, it was a round thing, about as big as a Jolly Rancher, a little bit bigger, round with the white cream. Well, then someone elongated them. So it was like a Slim Jim made of caramel with that cream in the middle. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ. And you know what they called them? Here's what they called them. Cowtails. Oh, what a delight. It was just a long tiger eye, but you couldn't see the cream. All you saw was caramel, and it was dusted with like a fine powdered sugar. But then when you bit it right in the middle of the old cowtail, oh, you know what's in there? Tiger eye cream. Loved it, ate it, enjoyed it. And you can too. Go find it. Go Google it. Go Google cowtails and tiger eyes. Although don't. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like you're making a witch broth. Whatever the fuck. Like Eye of Newt. Toil and what is it? Is it something toil and trouble? Hoil, boil, I don't know what the fuck it is. How do I not know the witch rhyme? What's wrong with me, goddammit? Waggle, woil, toil, and trouble. Because I know this one. Drizzle, drazzle, drazzle, drom. Trying for this one to come home. That was from like Bullwinkle when a guy got, I think it was Peabody and Sherman or something, and somebody got hypnotized, and then they brought him back with that. Drizzle, drazzle, drazzle, drom. Time for this one to come home. I am the oldest man alive. I can't. Can you hear my dentures clicking as I talk to you, fine folks? I have drunk an entire double big gulp cup full of water. And I have a bag here of more water. You know why? Because I knew I'd be talking. Fucking idiot. I didn't, you know what? I didn't finish this bullshit. And I know you guys are like, please, enough. I left Facebook for a different reason. Okay. When I talk about why I left, why I'm having trouble with Twitter and I'm trying to avoid it, and it's very difficult for me, is because, again, I like information. But Facebook is completely different. What I got tired of on Facebook is, first of all, it was a longer form version of Twitter, in that people could write like 2 paragraphs of terrible things or nonsense. And that was the thing that drove me, like, all right, I'll this is going to sound, fuck it, I'm just going to say it. There was a time period, and it's every day. All right. I'm trying to couch this in a way where, look, I don't want, because look, someone's going to take offense to this and whatever the fuck. I please know, I'm not speaking specifically about you. All right. This is a show, and I'm talking about Facebook in toto. You know what I mean? And not just, please don't, I'm not laser guiding anything at you. You are not Gaza, and I am not Israel, and my mouth is not a drone. All right. I'm not sending anything specifically to wreck you. But I found myself, because, every day Facebook does this thing where they give you your memories on Facebook, and they show you what you were doing, what you posted 3 years ago on that day, or 6 years ago on that day, or 11 years ago on that day. And, I looked at it every day. I would look at it, and it was this bizarre exhumation of the past that would make you feel happy and terrible at the same time. Because you would see some amazing thing that you had done with friends, or some party you had gone to, or a concert or a game, and that was awesome. But then you would see your goals, and this is specifically to me, you would see what you were thinking 11 years ago, and inevitably you would go, Jesus Christ, I haven't made any progress in that 11 years. I haven't changed in that 11 years. I'm not better. I don't think I'm worse, but there's a chance I'm just inert. Like I'm just, and then that gets to these existential questions of who are you, and what are you doing, and what's your purpose, and why are you doing this? And it speaks to your weaknesses. Everybody's got their defenses up on Twitter. They're making jokes. They're doing this. Everybody's firing their quick take, because that's the whole deal, quick takes. But when you see your own past in bite-sized chunks every single fucking day, it kneecaps you. I don't think anyone out there is completely happy with everything they've ever done. And I don't think anyone, you could be perfectly happy with your situation now. And then you look at your past and you go, oh, I remember when I felt that. Oh, that's when I settled. That's when I gave my balls away. That's when I thought I was going to be better. And then even worse is there'll be the highest highs, like shows I did or stuff, where I posted. And it's funny also, truthfully, in the early days of this podcast, when it was new and fresh for people, and people were discovering me, and people were like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're fucking amazing. You're so good at this. Oh my God, you're my favorite show, all these different things. And then I would look at it and I'd go, well, here you are 14 years later, and you're hiding. You're not even doing the show anymore. You're sad, or you're people are angry at you, or you're being told, 13 years ago, people were like, holy fuck, dude, a 3-hour show. That's amazing. Thank you. And then now there are people like, oh, when Mike rambles, it's so fucking dumb. And you're like, Jesus, what the fuck? And then you start to go, well, then what was the point? what was the point of any of it? And I found myself, and I'm still there. I'm trying, but I found myself firmly in what's the point land a lot. Because when I say that truth doesn't matter on Twitter, and I say that people come at you with these facts that aren't facts or try to convince you or gaslight you, there's real gaslighting. And I think therapy speak has become dangerous. There are people who say, I'm setting boundaries, but their boundaries are not their own personal boundaries. They'll tell you you can't do something because it's their boundary. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you can not want somebody to do something, but that doesn't mean you set a boundary. You know what I mean? And it's all a weird gray area, because look, boundaries are a real thing, and gaslighting is a real thing, and narcissism is a real thing, and all of these things are true and real. But when people weaponize them and use them in a way like, because you'll hear people like the word pedophile has been weaponized, which seems ridiculous, because you're like, well, fuck, being a pedophile is a fucking terrible thing. So it's a weapon in itself. Yes, absolutely. But you'll see online the discourse, like people will be arguing and people are like, man, you're a fucking pedophile. Oh, okay, whatever, pedophile. Like they do this. And then it's incumbent upon you, because again, it's a terrible thing to be accused of or called, like Nazi kind of used to be to a certain extent. And immediately you get your hackles up. You're like, I'm not a pedophile. What the fuck? But then the more you object to it, the more they think you are. What? You'll see arguments where they'll tell people, oh, you're a fucking pedophile. And someone will go, I'm not. I'm actually, I have 2 kids. I'm a grown man and I got a wife. And then people will be like, oh, you got kids. They're in danger because you're a pedophile. Like it's this trolling bullshit. and it doesn't stop. And it's frustrating to watch. You know what I mean? When you see, you're just like, dude. And so, that word has been weaponized, just like therapy speak to me in a certain way has been weaponized. When someone, like I said, they'll talk about boundaries, but what they're trying to tell you is you can't do that. Well, why can't I do the thing I want to do? Well, because it's against my boundaries. But it's like, all right, well, but this is my thing. Whatever. Perhaps I'm not making sense. All right. But I feel that that sort of therapy speak has been weaponized to where people use it to their advantage and put someone on the back foot or on the heel because they find themselves trying to extricate themselves out of these charges or defend themselves from being called or told that they do something wrong. And it set everybody in a fucking spin. And, on Facebook, like I said, you wind up seeing your past run in front of you and you start to question what you've done. And so I firmly, that contributed to this show not being recorded or me not doing the thing I'm supposed to do. I was like, what's the point? What's the point of this? And the point is that, there are people who love me and have been kind to me and want me to continue and want me to talk. And I'm not trying to make it like I'm a hero or people are like, please. No, it wasn't that fucking way at all. But there are people who are like, hey man, there are people who are like, I really need to hear your voice. And that's great. And that makes me incredibly happy. But I'll never hear a compliment that I can't tear asunder within 15 seconds. Oh yeah, you want to hear my voice, and that's nice of you to say, but I think you're just saying that because you want me to stop feeling bad and you want me to go ahead and do it. And so probably you don't really want to hear my voice. Like it's it's a disease that I have. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know what kind of condition it is. And that combined with my quite unfortunate hypersensitivity to criticism, made even more intense by the fact that this show is an extension of me. So I always frame it where people, when they rip the show or they hate it or they don't like it, I feel it's an attack on me personally. And that's bad. But rather than fight the good fight and plant my feet and go, I'm not going to back down. This is, you can't tear the show apart. That's me. I just go, okay, cool. Well, if nobody likes it, I should stop. When in reality, it was one person. But never let it be said that I have not taken no for an answer. Coming from women or jobs or anything. If you say no, there's a good chance you're not going to hear from me again. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, there's something to be said for the salesman who puts his foot in the door to try to sell some 50s housewife a vacuum. But at the same time, that's an invasion of privacy and a terrible thing. And you got to realize that other people are not involved in that or interested in you and your goals, no matter how much they tell you they might be. See, that's the weird part where you're like, no matter how much these people say it, they don't mean it. Well, that's fucking wrong, man. So what? People are lying to you to get you to do what? A podcast so they can tell you it's bad? What the fuck is wrong with your head, man? Jesus Christ, you got a skull full of moss. Fucking scrape it. God damn it. It's infuriating. And I'll tell you what, try living with that fucking guy. And it's funny because I think to myself, I have all the symptoms of a dry drunk. Like if you read about it, because again, my dad was an alcoholic, so I'm sure it's in my blood somehow. And like I said, I chose food as my destroyer. So that's a different way. But I will, like I said, I'll just wrap my soul in cotton and I'll watch old movies and read books that I like. And then I'll eat food and kick every single fucking can down the road until I wind up at a cliff and there's no more cans. And then I got to make a decision. It's true. I mean, this is me. And I'm not trying to be some fucking maudlin dude or whatever the fuck. I'm not looking for you to go, oh, Mike, and boo, and this isn't a boo-hoo either. It's just, I'm trying to learn who I am and how to fix the worst parts of me and how to somehow coexist with the me that doesn't think I'm worth much. It's fucking strange, man. Now hold on. I'm here. I got to pull out a fucking bottle of water because my mouth's getting all glommy. So you can hear this. And I should take a pause right here. But again, momentum. And also at the same fucking time, like I don't want to take the chance. Oh, I should stop and save though. I've been talking a long time, but I should save it to make sure it doesn't fucking go anywhere. Oh, fuck. What if I lost this show? All right. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to take a pause right here just to save this file because if it disappears, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. All right. If anything bad happens, I'll send up a flare. All right. I hit save and it's saved. So up to this point, I think we're safe. And I should probably look. I've fucking crushed you guys with words for too long. I should probably wrap this up. But regardless, but bullshit. So Facebook to me, not only that thing of having to look at your own past and realize the shit you've done and the shit you didn't do and the stuff that you were supposed to do, that's a crusher. But I will also tell you this, and this will sound selfish and weird, and that's just the way it is. I became overwhelmed with everybody living in their past. So this is the thing that I thought please know again, it's not about you specifically. Get out of your own head and climb into mine. It's empty and fun. I got overwhelmed with seeing people post their past and go, remember when I did this? Oh my God. Remember when we went there? Remember when we went to fucking Puerto Rico or Puerto Vallarta or Punta Cana or some other P word? Remember that? And it just seeing these weird, consistent snapshots of everyone's life, I found it tremendously sad. I don't know why. Not bullshit. I do know why. I don't know. Let's put it this way. That's the wrong way to say it. I know why. I just don't know if my reaction was proper. But it felt like everybody throwing logs on a bonfire getting ready to die. And I know that's projection, and I know that's coming out of me and my worries about what I haven't accomplished and the things I've never done. I understand that. But seeing people, whether I knew them or they were listeners to the show or whatever, constantly unearthing something that they did in 2010 and going, yeah, I remember this was super fun. And it made me, the framework of it was, yeah, what are you doing now? Other than constantly recycling your own past, and our memories are viable and our memories are important and our memories are things that we absolutely need to keep close and dear. But there comes a time where you're just diving into a swimming pool of your memories and you're just doing a dead man's float. You're not swimming anymore. And I'm sure that can be conflated with the fact where I wrapped my soul in a cocoon, like I said, of cotton and old movies and fucking food. And like I said, you dive into a warm pool of your own memories and you just sit still as you realize that the clock is inexorably marching on and your life is running out. And you spend a lot of it looking at this kaleidoscope of your past and sharing it again, like getting the dopamine hit of sharing your past again. I find a tremendously depressing thought, even though I have a show based on sharing my past and my present, but I retold like 3 different things that I know I've mentioned in the show before, just in this episode alone. And that's projection. And it makes me feel guilty for doing this show. And you're going to laugh and make fun of me, whatever the fuck. I get it. I'm going to get some note. You get your head out of your own ass. Whatever. I get it. Okay. I do. I get it. But you're the star of your own life. I'm the star of my life. You're not a bit player in the things that you've done because you've done them. And for me to see, people just, this is an analogy that might not make sense. I've told this story before. When I was a kid, my mom would make a giant pot of chicken soup. And that was great. My mom was a fucking amazing cook, and she'd make the best fucking chicken noodle soup. It was so good. Until day 6. You would come home from school or you'd come home from being out and you would walk in the door and you would just see that big ass Dutch oven of soup on the fucking oven getting reheated again. 'Cause we were poor and we were going to eat every last fucking carrot, drink every last drop of broth, no matter fucking what. And I hated it. Like the first 2 days, yes, of course. But then the 3rd day and then the 4th day and then the 5th day, we were just eating that soup the whole fucking week. And I hated it. And I resented it and I hated it. And also it just didn't taste really good on the 6th day. Leftovers, certainly they improve, but not on the 6th day. Like the 2nd day, the 3rd day, certainly, any pasta, any spaghetti, anything like that, the tomato sauce, soup, it's all better the 2nd or 3rd day. But then you get to day 6 and you're like, all right, we got to fucking dump this shit down the fucking disposal. Like, what the fuck? Is there anything else to eat in this house? And that's how I feel about people looking at their past and sharing it over and over again. That first time you did it in 2010, that trip was probably amazing. You and your friends had the best time ever and you went fucking water skiing, whatever the fuck you did. I don't know. It was great. And then when you shared it again on 2011, you were like, all right, man, that was awesome, right? Remember last year when we went to the fucking lake? It was beautiful. And then you get to 2012, you're like, oh man, we got to get back to the lake. But when we went in 2010, it was fucking amazing. It was so great and fun. And then by the time you get to fucking the pandemic, now it's 2020 and you're like, fuck, I can't leave my house. Remember 10 years ago, we were at the lake. Now I'm here. I'm depressed. It's like, I can't even get out of my fucking house, but we'll get there eventually. And can't wait to go back. We had to sell the boat, but I mean, we'll go back and maybe we'll roll in some fucking new. And then it's 2024 and you're going, oh man, I never get back to the lake. But we've done some, we went to Brazil last year. That was totally fun. And you know what? At the specifically designated time by Facebook, I'll be happy to share that memory with you again over the next 10 years. And I know, I don't know, this might sound selfish. I don't think it sounds selfish. I'm trying to just tell you what I felt and what I saw and how I related to it. And there were so many people, and I'm only friends with like 2,500 people. I don't even know, and that's dropped off. People who liked the show bailed or whatever the fuck. It's like, it just happened. But it was enough. It was enough for me on Facebook to where I kept seeing not only my own past, but everybody else's past. And it felt like walking through a haunted house or a hall of mirrors and just looking at the same shit over and over and over. And it made me, like I said, it made me go, what's the point? You had fun 10 years ago. What are you telling me about it again for? It doesn't make any sense. What's the fucking point? And you know, that can apply to other things. Like, what's the, you know, I've applied at like, now look, I'm not exactly expanding my horizons. I've stuck mainly to one grocery store, but I've now applied at like 13 different grocery stores, and I've had 7 different interviews. And 5 of those went to like a second interview where I talked, and one of those was like 2 hours. It was really great, and I haven't been hired anywhere. And which is, and again, like I told you, there's nothing worse than being upset about not getting a job you don't fucking want. You know, I want to do stand-up. I want to do this. But if I ran away from it for 6 months? And that's why I said my head broke. My brain, whatever you want to call it. It just, everything became, what's the point? And I won't lie, it still is to a certain extent. Because I'm going through some stuff I'll tell you about next time. I don't want to, you know, I got to save something. I mean, all I've done here is fucking yammer and talked about the shit I wasn't going to talk about, you know, talked about the world and talked about, I wasn't going to give you an explanation. You know what I mean? I was going to try to do one funny show out of the box and then get around to explaining the next time. You know what I mean? And look, I hear you, and I already hear you typing. Next time, when's that going to be? Next February? Ha ha ha! You suck. I get it. You hate me. You used to like the show, and now I suck. And that's fine. I don't know why you need to tell me, but good for you. But I'm just, and I don't expect you to understand. I don't. There will be people who will say, look, all right, I've been told by people, and again, even saying this out loud seems silly to a certain extent, but I've had people that say to me, it's important to hear how you feel because I feel the same way. And to hear somebody verbalize it or talk about it really helps me. And whenever anybody tells me that, I want to cry because it's incredible to know that I would have any sort of effect on anybody's life, or they could relate to the things that I'm going through. It's because, and look, when I say going through, again, I'm not in rubble. All right. I totally get it. There's a lot of other people who got a lot of other shit going on, whether they're sleeping on the street by my house or they're in rubble in the Middle East or whatever the fuck there is. But you know what? You live the life you live. You know, Mex and I used to talk about that all the time. You know, you had the childhood you had. You know, he worked in his parents' restaurant before he was even fucking in middle school. You know what I mean? And I had, you know, my mom had a bunch of drunks living in the basement, and my dad was one of them too. And he was a fucking, you know, abusive asshole. I mean, it's like all you do is you try to roll with those punches and live the best life you possibly can. But because I haven't achieved the things I wanted to achieve, or even made the effort to achieve them, because like I was like, no, okay, cool. And that was even when I was having success. When I was writing on television shows, I should have been going out every night and doing stand-up. And everything's changed now. Like I think I didn't get into this, but you know, I've been hiding from you guys, obviously, because I don't know, you know, because what's the point? I told you. But also, you know, I was going to go back to doing stand-up. And I did that show at that golf course. I was doing really well. And then I ventured out and I did a show at a bookstore, and that went really good. It was only for like 10 people or whatever. But then I did a show in Long Beach at a Chinese restaurant. And these are the gigs I used to do when I fucking first started doing stand-up. So there's a comedian, and she was very nice to me, and she liked me, and she's like, hey, I can refer you to this guy. It's got a gig and it kind of pays. And I was like, all right, cool. So it was a gig in Long Beach, and I got down there, and 45-mile drive, you know, but I don't care. I want to go up on stage. And I get in there, and there's it's like every one-nighter I ever did in these fucking shows. It's in the bar, but people can order food if they want. And they're all kind of, and there's a good crowd. There's like 35 people there, at least 40. And I meet the other comedians. They don't know me at all. Like, they don't know who the fuck I am. And they're not exactly chatty, and I totally get that because they all know, because let's put it this way. I walked up and there were two comedians. There was the MC guy and then another comedian. I met them. And then a third guy came in and he knew them. And he's like, hey, you guys want to spark up? And they left to go smoke weed out in the back. And I don't do that. I'm sure if I wanted to go back there with them, I could have. But I was like, whatever. And I had wanted to go through my jokes anyway, because I don't go up on stage often enough. So I wanted to make sure I was ready. And I had to do 10 minutes. And again, 10 minutes, it's, I had stuff that I'd, been working on in the other shows, but also, it was the week, the week Trump got shot. Or no, it wasn't. It was the week of the debate. It was the week. Oh no, I apologize. Bullshit. Jesus Christ. See, again, it's been 6 months since I talked to you. It was the week they replaced him with her. It was the week Biden bailed and Kamala got the gig. And so I was on the whole ride. I'm thinking of stuff that basically I would just fire off the top of my head to you guys. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, I can do this on stage. I'm like, but you only got 10 minutes. You want to make sure you get to the stuff you want to do. But also I wanted to talk about what happened, the stuff that she replaced him and all these different things. And look, I'm going to do these for you because they're gone. They're topical. So they're burnt. But I basically said, I said, they replaced Biden. I go, and I was like, but that's, again, who knows what we're going to know in a week? I go, it's ridiculous to have news happening so fucking I can't stand life fucking, and believe me, it was a lot smoother than this. I said, it's just, I go, you remember a week ago somebody tried to shoot Trump? Remember when that happened? However the fuck long it was? I go, that was a kid with a rifle and a ladder. I go, in the old days, you had to hide in a book depository and take a shot at somebody. But this is a kid with a rifle and a ladder. Try that anywhere. Do me a favor. Take a rifle and a ladder and go to a local strip mall and try to get on the roof. I can't go to a Ralph's without some 70-year-old profiling me, for fuck's sake. Okay, so I was ready to do that. And then I said, the thing is, Biden, he fell victim to what I like to call the fucking idiot paradox. Because the guy he's running against, if Trump steps in a spittoon and hits his head on a fucking swinging door and then goes ahead and makes a phone call to Russia and lets everybody hear Putin's voice, everybody goes, this fucking guy. But if Biden walks into a door, everybody goes, this fucking guy. Like they want him out. It's like a completely different version of this fucking guy. So whatever. So I'm ready to do all that stuff. I'm going to do I don't know if I did these bits for you, but I'm going to do them because again, they're burnt. I said, that thing about the Orlando Magic. And then I said, the thing is I'm very worried about the situation in Gaza. Not because I'm a humanitarian, but because I have a timeshare over there. And, November's my month. I thought they'd have this cleaned up by now, for fuck's sake. I don't want to go over there and open my foot spa and find a baby skeleton. And again, so I'm all excited about these bits, and I've been doing them. I've been doing them at the whatever, and they're working. They're doing well. And then I said, who's really pissed off about Gaza? Ukraine. I go, everybody used to care about Ukraine. They become the Jan Brady of international conflicts. We are trying to help our country and do the best for our sovereign independence, but all we hear about is Gaza, Gaza, Gaza. You have no idea how proud I was of that joke. And then I talked about, I don't know why Russia would attack Ukraine. And this is stuff I've done on the show here. I said, I don't know why Russia, we were kids. We were taught Russia was the big bad. Like Israel and Russia were the people you didn't fuck with because Russia was really mean. I go, they've been fighting Ukraine for like a year. This is, you can't, how did they not just swoop in and beat these guys? I mean, this just proves you should never go to war with any country with a K in the name, like a U and a K. Like you got to just avoid those people, because I'll tell you what, never go to war with a country that might have a pope's bones in a crypt somewhere, because they will dig a trench and sit in there and eat mice for 10 years before they even think about fucking getting out and shooting you. Like it's ridiculous. So whatever, all that, I was ready to do all that in addition to some other stuff. So they're like, you're first. And I'm like, that's fine. I got no problem with that. And the guy goes up and he's a hey y'all comic. Hey y'all, you can move up front. Hey y'all, just order some food. Hey y'all, what's going on? And nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Hey y'all, what's going on? Hey, we do comedy here once a month. Hey y'all, we're glad you're here. Make sure you drink up, makes us funnier. He's more of a club DJ than he is a comedian, but he's an MC. And then he hey y'alls himself into bringing me up on stage. And I go up on stage. And the first thing I mentioned was I say, I go, oh man, I go, so Biden's out. I go, and, somebody tried to, I started talking about Trump, and some guy, I'm not even 30 seconds in. I can't even remember what it was I opened with. But it was going to be the new stuff, all the stuff about the kid with the rifle and the ladder, all that shit I'd never done on stage before. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to do it. I couldn't wait. And because I even went, fuck, man, I don't want to go over the 10 minutes. Well, this new stuff will probably just keep it to 5 and then just get the Gaza stuff out. 30 seconds in, a guy at the fucking bar goes, we don't want to hear this shit. Take this liberal shit back to Santa Monica. And, I've been doing this 30 years, but also I've been doing it once a year, basically, for the past 10. And my chops are not where they need to be. So this guy goes, take this liberal shit back to Santa Monica. And I go, liberal shit? I've said 10 words. And a guy at the front table goes, the only thing that kid did wrong was he missed. And the guy at the bar is like, fuck that. You got Trump derangement syndrome. And then another guy in the back of the room starts yelling. And I'm standing on the pallet in the front of a Chinese restaurant bar, holding a microphone, watching these three assholes yell at one another. And I don't have the room. I've lost all control. I don't have the chops to go, hey, because they don't like me yet. I've been there 30 seconds. I haven't established anything except that I was going to talk about Trump. Like, I didn't even rip him. I didn't even make fun of him yet. I just mentioned him and Biden and the switch, and they started. And so this is my first time doing stand-up in this climate where it's so charged, where everybody has their opinion. Because I've seen John Reep get a glass thrown at him. I've seen comedians get attacked on stage. And I'm not even thinking I'm just doing jokes. I'm not even thinking about that yet. I'm still trying to learn my fucking craft all over again. And I'm telling you, in 30 seconds, I got 3 guys who are all heckling one another. And then I go, fellas, I have a microphone for a reason. I'm going to do this. And it wasn't even that smooth. Believe me, I'm stammering. My mouth is dry. I have a bottle of water because my mouth had been going dry recently. So I kept it open. So I got a pad of paper so I can kind of cheat down and look. And I finally kind of get them settled down, but not in a good way. Like they just it's almost like they took pity on me and they shut up. And then I do the Gaza stuff and they hate it. Like it gets pin drop silence, man. I have no laughs. Because I talk about the paradox. I talk about Biden. I talk about climbing the strip mall with the ladder. It's getting nothing at all. And then I do, like I said, the Gaza stuff. And look, man, no matter what you think, that's fucking funny stuff. All right. It's dark, but it's funny and it's jokes. And that gets nothing. And literally, I was planning on doing the new stuff and vamping about the fucking assassination attempt and fucking around and then closing with like the Gaza stuff. And I've done 3 minutes of 10 because they're not, and a minute of it was them yelling at one another. But I have 4 minutes because I've done 3 minutes of time and they yelled at each other for a minute. So I'm 4 minutes into a 10-minute set and everything I was planning on doing is burnt. I did this joke. I talked about the assassination attempt. I was watching it and I heard noises. It sounded like gunfire, but I didn't know it was an explosion. I know people started ducking and I didn't know if it was an assassination attempt or if Israel just saw a crowd of people and instinctually lobbed a missile into it. Silence. Fucking silence, man. And it was so bad. It was such silence. I had to tell the story of my mom having a fight, which I've done a million times for you guys and on stage. And so I had to do a short, truncated version of that. And even that got tepid response. Like they weren't into that. They didn't like me at all. Like they just fucking decided that I was a topical guy and I should take that liberal shit back to Santa Monica or fuck you, whatever. It was fucking, and again, I don't have the chops to handle that. I've readily admitted I wish I did, but right now I just don't, to control a room or work the crowd or go into, I just wanted to do my bits. I'm trying to get through them and get my $25 worth of Chinese food, which is your payment for this show. And fuck me, man. It was so fucking bad. I finally just I closed. I did 10 like on the nose. And here's how bad it was. I reached down and I picked up my bottle of water and I picked up my pad of paper and I just zombie walked off stage and the MC walked right by me. And I'm halfway, because I'm going to the back of the room, and I'm halfway to the back of the room before I realize I don't have the cap on my water bottle. So as I'm walking, the water is dumping out onto my pad of paper that, I didn't just bring one piece up. I brought a whole pad that I've been taking notes in and writing bits. And the water just dumps all over the fucking pad of paper. And it's basically empty by the time I get back to the room. It's all over the floor. It's all over. And I fucking just fire my pad of paper into there was a couch and I just threw it. And the other comics that were there, I mentioned they don't know me at all. That's why I went first. And they all knew one another though. And they don't want to talk to me at all because I have the stink of death on me. I mean, it's very clear. And I get it. As a comedian, I totally understand it. Nobody wants to, and one guy to go, oh man, don't worry about it. You're nothing to worry about. And I was bummed about the set. I was mad at myself because then it brings up the fact that I've been doing this 31 years and I can't control a Chinese Long Beach fucking room, or Long Beach Chinese restaurant. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What's the point? What's the point? And in addition to that, being angry at that not having the skill, but also being angry that because one of the things I've always had in my entire quote unquote career as a comedian was the respect of other comics as a writer and a comic. They would all be like, holy fuck, dude, that joke is ridiculous. Holy fuck, that's great. Like, it's been even recently in the times I've gone up at Lenny's workout room, which died, or anywhere. Like I told you, when I did that fucking golf club, like golf course, Pat met me when I was walking off. He's like, dude, why aren't you doing this every fucking night? Jesus Christ, that was funny. Like, and I know he wouldn't bullshit me. Well, these fucking dudes, they want nothing to do with me, and I don't fucking blame them because, again, I ate it, and I ate it in an amateur way. If I just bombed confidently, that would be a different story. But I was a deer in the fucking headlights, to use a fucking horrible cliche. Once they started yelling at one another, I was like, how the fuck is this happening? Like, what is going on? It was just a different vibe. Like, they didn't even let me, I'm not joking. 30 seconds in, they started fucking yelling about politics at one another. And, because it's my first time doing this climate where you can't challenge anybody's politics because it turns into a fucking mess. And I hadn't even challenged anything yet. I just mentioned Trump and the assassination and Biden getting replaced, like, just kind of talk. And they were just fucking off to the races. And I walked to the bar and I placed an order for $25 worth of Chinese food. And I sat there and waited while another guy went up, and he killed because first of all, he was funny. I'm not going to say he wasn't, but also he was personable and he started talking to them, which is what they wanted. And then he was also baseball hat beer guy. All right, first of all, here's a drink to Long Beach. Let's all fucking raise a glass. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you have to do in those rooms a lot of the time. And he was a loud, gregarious fucking, and he was great. He was funny. I couldn't deny it. He was, because certainly after what I had again, to follow my bullshit. And I got my fried rice, and and like I said, these comedians, none of them, because normally comics would be like, hey man, well, you're funny. Here's another set you can do. That's the whole point, is you start doing these shows, you meet comics and they start referring you to other places in town. That's how I got this gig. This woman saw me and was like, you're funny. And so, in addition to being upset at myself for after 31 years not having the fucking chops or whatever to control the room, I was frustrated because a room full of comedians who I didn't know now all think I suck. And it's funny. Lenny will be like, well, that's not true. And I'm like, no, it's true. I go, Lenny, they wouldn't even look at me. And I know that. I know that feeling. Because look, I've been in a room where we've been watching guys bomb and then they come to the back. But the difference is those guys are terrible. I'm not terrible. I was certainly terrible that night. And this was in July, I think. And what's the point? I haven't been up since. Because, what's the point? You're just going to bomb again. You're so bad at this. What's happened to you? You're fucking, and then you know what? You put 31 years into it and you can't even fucking do this. Jesus Christ, what the fuck is wrong with you? What kind of a failure are you? And you can't even do a podcast. You know, that's the fun one meal ticket you had, is you wound up reaching out a fan base and going in because you can't even fucking do that. So why would you think you can go? I mean, dude, that's the guy who I have to deal with. And he looks a fuck ton like me. And I don't like him. But, you know, I'm not looking for some weird sympathy or going, I'm just trying to explain to you what I deal with. And I'm not, this is no boo-hoo. Again, like I said, this isn't me like, oh, please understand. Hey man, if you want to hate me, I get it. If you fucking hate the show, I get it. If you're mad at me because I was gone for 6.5 months, I totally get it. And I don't blame you. My friend Ellen has reached out text-wise. She sent me something in the mail, but I will tell you this. If you've sent me anything in the mail, I've not opened it. It's here on my desk because I wasn't going to open anything until I did a show. And I know you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I don't know. But I've talked about this before. It's like, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Well, how can I open a nice note from somebody? How can I open what is like a gift from somebody when I haven't earned it? You know, I haven't been doing my work. I haven't done any of this. And so there's no reason for me to get rewarded or to be able to read nice words or nice things about myself, because fuck that. I'm doing nothing to earn them. And it might be a thing where like, oh no, you earned them in the past. It's like, maybe. But at the same fucking time, believe me, I've heard from people who listen to this show for a long time who are telling me I'm fucking worthless. And it's that thing where, you know, when you make incremental progress every day and you're like, you know what, I can do this. I can do a show. I can do that. And I'll kick the can down and I'm like, well, no, I can. And then someone tells you you're fucking awful. And it's like, it's almost like they kick you back down into the pit. And I'm not blaming anybody. If you hate me, you hate me. There's nothing I can do about that. Because believe me, nothing you say to me or no level of hate you have for me could ever surpass the things I've said or the level of hate I have for myself. Because I am angry at myself for my failures. And you can keep pointing them out, I guess. You can just keep throwing that dart and hitting that bullseye. But please recognize that I throw bullseyes all fucking day. All right. You guys can get me at Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. I don't know what that means anymore. I will go on there now because I have to tell people there's a show and I got to put a new picture up. But you can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. And I'm at Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok at Mike40YOB. Have I posted anything? I have not. Will I? I don't know. As I said the last time I did a show, or the last time I was on Facebook was my birthday. I mean, dude, I haven't done, the whole baseball season went away. We're in the World Series now. It's fucking crazy. I don't even know how to explain it. Because you know what? What's the point? I just constantly, whatever. I've talked enough. I hope this has given you a small snapshot into who I am and what I'm dealing with, what I'm trying to stop dealing with. And I know, like I said, I recognize this. There are people like, hey man, I fucking hang drywall. I don't talk all fucking day. How fucking weak of you. Well, I will also tell you this. You know, I drive a fuck ton. Like when I say that I'm like sitting in my house, I'm sitting in my house when I'm not doing fucking driving. And I had another gig for a while, and I'll tell you about that later. You know, I couldn't be living in my house if I was doing absolutely nothing. What I haven't been doing is this, which is extremely important and the reason I fucking exist. But it's become easier to turn my brain off and just drive like a zombie and try to stay afloat. And even that fantasy has been torn asunder recently. But boy, oh boy, isn't that a tease. You can follow me at Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. I'm Mike40YOB. Why not find me on there? That'd be great. And send me email at mike@mikeshmidtcomedy.com. I'm just babbling now. I think I'm still part of the Misfit Toys Co-op. I don't know, but go listen to the other shows. I can only plug Never Not Funny because I don't know who is part of the Misfit Toys Co-op anymore. I can tell you that our good friend Fearful Jesuit is still cranking out the Paranoid Strain. Go ahead and check that out. And our good friend David Hernandez still cranks out the Phlegmcat podcast. That's PHLEGM Cat. That's 2 words. Go ahead and find Paranoid Strain and Phlegmcat wherever you find your best and mostest important podcasts. I also have a Twitch channel. I haven't been on there. Twitch.tv/the40year-old boy. If you want to follow me on there, that'd be great because I will eventually, like a ghost, I will appear in the night and you will see me at like 2 a.m. My face will just appear on your Twitch. You'll be like, what the fuck? He's back. Sort of. And then also I have youtube.com/the40year-old boy, and that's where the archives of this podcast are. And I'm sure you've all been in there listening to those archives going, when will Mike come back? We sure do love him. Or going, boy, I'm so glad Mike isn't doing shows. What a fucking jerk. Whatever you feel. I mean, it's, 6 of 1. Feel free to do it. So again, Never Not Funny, Paranoid Strain, and Phlegmcat podcast are out there for you to support. Go ahead and do that. And twitch.tv/the40year-old boy and youtube.com/the40year-old boy. And let's deal with this. When will I be back? My goal, my plan, this show used to come out on Thursdays. And then it came out whenever I put it out, and then it didn't come out. Today is Monday, and it's October 28th. Like I said, that listener, Alan, he was like, man, just put out shows whenever you want. And I talked to Fearful Jesuit, same way. And this is funny, and this is true. Like I contacted Fearful Jesuit. I called him, and I'm sure he was like, what the fuck are you calling me for? But I called him, and I was like, look, man, do you think people are mad at me? And he's like, just do a fucking show. He didn't say it like that. He was very nice and kind, as he always is. He's like, just do a show. And you know what? Lily also has reached out. She's like, why aren't you recording? And so we've had long talks, and she's like, just do a show. And some of you are very nice, and you actually reached out to Lily, and you were like, is Mike okay? And that's very nice of you. And, and she answered to the best of her ability because I told you I don't answer the phone or return texts a lot of the time because I am, what's the point? Truth is dead. Whatever the fuck. It is just an endless fucking churning of the river of memories that all of us do. Who cares? Whatever. See, that's the shit I got to snap out of. That's the miasma I find myself mired in, and I have to stop. And I'm doing it sort of, or I want to. I really want to. And you're all very kind. Anybody who cares, I've told you this before. You care, everybody cares. Anybody who cares, extremely important to me. Thank you. Anybody who's ever listened or laughed at anything I've said, extremely important to me. Thank you. I love you guys. Without you, there would be no reason to even do this fucking ridiculous marathon of a show that you're going to all immediately reject. But those of you that care, thank you. And if you don't care, and you're going to, like I said, you're going to write me a note, I'm going to firebomb your fucking house because what the fuck is, you know what? That'll give me a purpose. Write me and tell me how much I fucking suck again. And maybe I'll just be, show up with a jar full of gasoline. Because like I said, I can't do a Molotov cocktail. It's far too dangerous. But if I got a mason jar full of gasoline, I just throw it at your house and then lob a fucking lighter in there. Hey, perfect. It's like a Molotov cocktail, but puzzle. Molotov cocktail's neat. It's got gas, it's got a bottle, it's got a wick, fire. But I'll give you a Molotov cocktail. It's like it's like the Brazilian steakhouse of arson. I'm just going to throw a jar full of gasoline at it, and then I'll light it with other matches. Perfect, right? That's a great plan. All right. Anybody who cares, thank you. Anybody who doesn't care, I completely understand because I will do the best I can, which is basically what any of us can do. All right. Love you guys.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while, and by a while, I mean forever.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.